Chapter 1241. The head of the Xiayun sacred sect was also the disciple of the Xiayun ancestor, Yi Xuanshan. Yi Xuanshan saw that the three ancestors were trapped in the formation by Li Zongjiu and knew that the situation was not good. Immediately, Yi Xuanshan ordered everyone, "Get into formation, immortal trapping formation." Yi Xuanshan bellowed. Hundreds of experts from the Compassionate Cloud Saint clan rushed out and surrounded Li Zongjiu. At the same time, the so-called immortal trapping array was only a simplified version. It did not have any power to speak of. Even the formation formed by these people was like a piece of white paper in front of Li Zongjiu. "You have no chance." Li Zongjiu waved the unparalleled sword in his hand. A sword chi flew forward like a rock spreading its wings. Many disciples of the Xiayun sacred sect took out their origin weapons. However, under the sword chi, there was no suspense. They were easily cut into pieces. At the same time, those who did not have enough cultivation were turned into ashes. Even their corpses were not left behind. Li Zongjiu waved his sword a few more times. He directly killed everyone in front of him. "Sect head, save me." Some people could not dodge and were directly swallowed by Li Zongjiu's sword chi. At this moment, the three ancestors could not even protect themselves. The only person they could rely on was the sect head. However, in the next second, Yi Xuanshan was killed by Li Zongjiu's sword in an instant. Even if the whole sect gathered together, they could not hurt Li Zongjiu at all. After all, they were not on the same level at all. If Li Zongjiu wanted to kill them, it would be a piece of cake. Li Zongjiu felt that there seemed to be energy gradually gathering in the unparalleled sword. This was the effect of the sword spirit's rapid recovery. It seems that the chaos chi has a wonderful effect on the King of Fire's recovery. Li Zongjiu took a look at the unparalleled sword in his hand. When he killed these people, he absorbed the yuan qi that they had cultivated for many years. It was also because of the yuan qi that the unparalleled sword strength increased. From the beginning to the end, Li Zongjiu only used 3 sword moves. All of these people from the Compassionate Cloud Saint sect, who were high up in the sky and possessed great power, were all killed. The sky, which was originally filled with rolling thunderclouds, was cleaned up instantly. It was as if these people had never existed. After keeping his sword, Li Zongjiu slowly turned around and looked at the 3 ancestors of the Compassionate Cloud sacred sect. At this moment, they naturally saw the fate of the people from the Compassionate Cloud sacred sect. At this moment, they wished they could kill Li Zongjiu to vent their hatred. However, the 3 of them were currently trapped within the formation and had no way of escaping. Even maintaining a stable state within the formation was an extremely difficult task. If they were the slightest bit careless, this strange yet powerful formation would directly strip them of their strength. Therefore, it was quite difficult for them. They could not even protect themselves. How could they take care of these sect disciples? "You're courting death." The 3 of them were gnashing their teeth in hatred. However, what made them even more resentful was that after Li Zongjiu killed the people from the Compassionate Cloud sacred sect, he ignored the 3 of them and directly returned to Desert City. It seemed that he did not care about the 3 people trapped in the formation at all. Immediately, the 3 of them did not speak much. Instead, they tried their best to break the formation and look for the flaws in the formation. Under the leadership of Ancestor Compassionate Cloud, the 3 of them could be considered to have preserved the most perfect combat power in the soul-burning formation. It did not have any effect. However, if this went on for a long time, it was difficult to guarantee that they would not be refined by this power. If they had to be vigilant at all times, they would not be able to hold on for long. "All of you, work hard to break the formation." Li Zongjiu left these words and disappeared. Immediately, Li Zongjiu returned to Desert City and swaggered away, leaving the 3 Supreme Being experts behind. Such an arrogant behavior was admirable. Why didn't they just kill him now? It was a good thing to end the matter once and for all. However, evil Lord Li Zhongjiu did not need these people to teach him how to do things. Li Zhongjiu was not worried, but the rest of the people in the city were extremely worried. If the three Supreme Being experts were to break out of the formation, they would either run away or destroy the desert city. If they could not kill Li Zhongjiu, Desert City would definitely not be able to escape. At least, all of their anger would be vented in Desert City. Why are these three people just left here? What if they come out? Some people were suddenly worried. This matter was indeed quite difficult to deal with. After all, there were three Supreme Being experts in front of them. Don't worry, since Evil Lord is confident in trapping the three of them and leaving them here, it means that these people can't escape from Evil Lord's grasp. That's not the case. If Evil Lord can't deal with these three people and can only use this thing to stall for time, then he will escape first. Then, it's hard to say what will happen. Who knows how long this formation can hold on? This person's analysis was not without reason. However, in any case, ordinary people like them, compared to Li Zhongjiu and the others, could only resign themselves to fate. Life and death were no longer in their hands. Li Zhongjiu, on the other hand, went to drink and eat freely. The sky above the desert city was clear again, but there were 8 pillars suspended in the air, and there were 3 figures who seemed to be struggling to stay in this array. Other than that, there were no other changes. It was just that the people in the city were extremely worried. The 3 people hanging above their heads were like timed explosives that could suddenly explode at any time. Li Zhongjiu naturally came to the wilderness wine. He ordered a table full of good dishes and a pot of liquor. The quality of the wilderness wine was very good. Even if such a big thing happened outside, the speed of the dishes was still very fast. Obviously, they were not affected by what happened outside. After a while, they seemed to feel that this matter wouldn't affect them much. Even if they were worried, it would be useless. Thus, they began to work as usual. After all, the sky hadn't fallen yet. They still had to live their lives. However, no one knew that Li Zhongjiu, the young Supreme Master who had killed so many people in the sky just now, was drinking and eating in the wilderness restaurant like an ordinary person at this moment. Chapter 1242. Even around Li Zhongjiu, there were people discussing the 3 ancestors of Xiayun's sacred sect who were tied up in the sky. They even looked at them as if they were looking at a few captive pets. Even if the 3 ancestors were thick-skinned and had a high cultivation base, they couldn't withstand such comments and criticism. However, the most important thing for the 3 of them now was to get out of this great array. They didn't want to be calculative with the ants below. A bunch of ants who don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Do you think we can't hear you? Once I get out, I'll bury this desert city completely in this desert. Ancestor Ci, he said in a low voice. At the same time, his eyes were filled with killing intent. The killing intent was directed towards the wilderness restaurant. This was because Li Zhongjiu had just killed his spirit crane. This spirit crane had accompanied him for nearly 50 years. However, for some reason, it was killed by Li Zhongjiu just now. It did not even have time to react at all. This was like killing a family member. How could Ancestor Ci tolerate this? Therefore, Ancestor Ci had to strangle Li Zhongjiu to death as soon as he got out. It would be too easy on him if he killed him directly. This array is extremely strange. However, give me 2 days and I'll definitely find the key to breaking it. Ancestor Xiayun said in a low voice. The pressure from the array made it impossible for Ancestor Xiayun to study the loopholes of the array. He could only resist this force at all times. In the end, Ancestor Xiayun felt like he was in a quagmire. The other 2 weren't in a good situation either. Our only chance now is the Immortal Restraining Array. If the 3 of us can study the Immortal Restraining Array, we'll definitely be able to break this array. That's the only way now. The 3 of them discussed for a while and decided to use elixirs or other items to resist the force around them. This was so that they could have time and leeway to study the immortal restraining array. The immortal binding formation was a peak-level formation that the three of them had stumbled upon by chance. The immortal binding formation that the people of the sect had used before was only a smokescreen. The true essence of the formation naturally lay in the formation that the three of them possessed. However, the three of them were still a little lacking in their understanding of the great immortal coiling array. They couldn't combine it freely and release its power naturally. Therefore, the three of them still needed to divide their attention to study it. Although he didn't know why Li Zongjiu wanted to keep the three of them alive, perhaps it was only enough to trap the three of them. Never in his wildest dreams would he have imagined that he would be trapped in this place so easily. Just thinking about it made him feel ashamed and humiliated. The lives of so many disciples of Xiayun's sacred sect had been wiped out so easily. They would definitely seek revenge from Li Zongjiu. Inside the great desolate restaurant, everyone was discussing loudly. The heroic deeds of this evil lord, Li Zongjiu, could be said to be quite famous in the underworld. It wasn't just in the desert city. The desert city was only a city used for transit. It was equivalent to a transit station. The people who came and went would eventually return to the three dynasties. It was impossible for them to stay here for a long time. This was also the reason why the four great clans could control the desert city so well. It was because their roots were here. Most of the people who came and went would have heard of Li Zongjiu's name. Moreover, they would more or less be able to talk about the things that Li Zongjiu had done. Therefore, the entire great desolate restaurant was discussing Li Zongjiu. Everyone was amazed by Li Zongjiu's powerful strength. It could even be described as monstrous. The manager of the restaurant recognized Li Zongjiu at a glance. After all, the scene of him killing everyone in the inn that day was still displayed in front of him. How could he ignore it? However, looking at Li Zongjiu's low-key face, he didn't say much and didn't alarm the rest of the people. If these people knew that the person they were talking about was sitting here, who knew what kind of expression they would have? Get out of the way, get out of the way. Outside the restaurant, some people were pushing and shoving their way into the restaurant. Everyone looked over. In Desert City, the only people who could be so overbearing were the people from the four great families. When everyone saw the people who came in, they also turned their heads and didn't dare to look at them. They just obediently ate the rice in their bowls. Even their voices became softer. Who are these people? Some people who were sitting a little further away were probably new here to see the world. They didn't know who these aggressive people in front of them were, but the people at the same table clearly knew who these people were. Shoo, these people are all from the Feng family. The Feng family is fierce, and the income from many of their territories in the city is collected by these people. They control most of the trading market. As long as there is money flowing in Desert City, these people from the Feng family can collect money. After listening to the people at the same table, they immediately understood that this was the family that collected the most protection fees in the city. No wonder they were so arrogant. They also understood that to be able to do so much, they must be ruthless. Therefore, they buried their heads in their bowls and didn't even dare to look at them. The one at the front is the head of the Feng family, Feng Shufan. Since he was the head of the Feng family, one of the four great families, Feng Shufan was definitely a person who could shake the entire desert city with a stomp of his feet. Now that he had come in with a large number of experts and elders from the Feng family, someone was going to suffer today. Feng Shufan was dressed in a dark blue silk brocade. After he walked in, he immediately searched the living room with his sharp eyes. Finally, he found the person he was looking for in the corner. Immediately, he hurriedly strode toward this person. He quickly arrived in front of an extremely remote table. The people around them were so scared that they hid in the corner with their chopsticks. Feng Shufan welcomes you, Master Li. Feng Shufan directly bowed to the young man at the table. When the people around them saw this, they all widened their eyes in disbelief. The head of one of the four great families in the desert city, a big shot who could cover half the sky of the desert city with one hand, was actually bowing to a young man. The diners around them also looked at the person in front of them, who was pouring wine and drinking alone. He seemed somewhat familiar. When they took a closer look and heard Feng Shifan's words, they instantly understood the background of the person in front of them. No one would have thought that the young man in front of them was the deity who had destroyed the Compassionate Cloud sacred sect with 3 swords in the sky. Greetings, evil lord. When some of the people in the Jianhu saw Li Zongjiu, it was as if they were looking at their idol. At this point, there was no need to differentiate age. His strength was enough to explain everything. Do you still want to take advantage of your age? You should even feel ashamed. You're already so old, but you're not even as powerful as one of his fingers. Some of the people around them also bowed to him. The person in front of them was a Supreme Being expert. Although the title of Supreme Being was a classification of cultivation realms, it was also a form of respect the people in the Jianhu had for people who had reached such a realm. What's the matter? Li Zongjiu looked at the people in front of him helplessly. Get up, everyone. Eat and drink as you should. Chapter 1243. When Li Zongjiu had ascended to a high position, these people would often kneel before him for some reason. Therefore, Li Zongjiu preferred to keep a low profile. This was because Li Zongjiu knew that these people had submitted to him because they were afraid of his strength. This kind of unwillingness was probably because they were thinking of the day when their cultivation would surpass his and then trample him under their feet. Of course, such a thing was impossible. Li Zongjiu looked at Feng Shifan, who was beside him. Since he was full, he waved his hand and asked the shopkeeper to settle the bill. I'll do it, I'll do it. You're a guest from afar. How can I let you pay out of your own pocket? Feng Shifan said hurriedly. An elder understood and followed the shopkeeper to settle the bill. Seeing that Feng Shifan was so considerate, Li Zongjiu did not care too much. Master Li, please come to the Feng mansion to rest for a while. I've already prepared a courtyard for you. There are too many people here, and I'm afraid it'll disturb your elegance. Let's go. Li Zongjiu did not waste any time. Since this guy was so considerate, there was no reason not to enjoy it. After all, these things were placed in front of you for you to choose from. As long as you were strong enough, you would suddenly feel that everything in this world was very easy. This way, please. Prepare the carriage. Feng Shifan was quite surprised. He did not expect Li Zongjiu to be willing to do him the honor. After all, he had heard that Feng Jianshan had offended Li Zongjiu, which led to the current situation. However, who would have thought that after knowing Li Zongjiu's identity and strength, the Feng family would still invite Li Zongjiu to their mansion and treat him well. After becoming strong, one would lose a lot of enemies. Even if one bullied them, they would not dare to do anything. They would even welcome the bully with a smile. This was the situation in front of them. Li Zongjiu was naturally used to it. However, after Li Zongjiu left, the people in the restaurant began to discuss it. In the face of absolute strength, the 4 great clans, who could cover the sky with one hand, all of them could only eat shit. When they saw Evil Lord coming, they all had to kneel down. Li Zongjiu followed Feng Shifan's carriage and arrived at the Feng family's courtyard. If nothing unexpected happened, Desert City would be under the control of the 4 great families for the next few hundred years. After all, a big tree had deep roots. Just by walking into the Feng family's courtyard, one could already tell how powerful the Feng family was. No wonder the Compassionate Cloud Saint sect didn't exterminate the entire Feng family after they appeared. They only punished Feng Jianshan. After all, Feng Jianshan wouldn't be able to live. It was already very good that the Compassionate Cloud Saint sect gave them face. Your Feng family is pretty big. Li Zongjiu casually strolled around. When he visited the Imperial Palace, he discovered that the only advantage the Imperial Palace had was its geographical location. Many of the design styles were old. It was no wonder that the 14th prince wanted to move the imperial city. As long as one had power in hand, it didn't matter where the imperial city was moved. No one would want to rebel. You flatter me, Master Li. It's just a fleeting cloud. Feng Shufan felt a little proud. Being praised by Li Zongjiu was obviously a supreme honor. I think the big lion in your central hall is pretty good. Li Zongjiu said casually. The lion that Li Zongjiu was talking about was a stone lion carved from Qianyuan stone. Qianyuan stone had the effect of stabilizing one's qi and spirit, as well as increasing one's luck. Moreover, this Qianyuan stone lion was more than 3 meters in size. It was quite expensive to make, and could no longer be measured by money. It could be said that such an object was quite precious. Who knew if Li Zongjiu was just saying it casually or pretending to say it casually? Rest assured, Master Li. I'll immediately order people to collect the Qianyuan stone and make a more noble stone lion. I'll send it to the Li mansion in Wuxia city as soon as possible. Feng Shufan was indeed worthy of being the head of the Feng family. He immediately figured out what was going on. Although the Qianyuan stone was precious, how could it be more precious than Li Zongjiu's friendship? If this Qianyuan stone lion could make Li Zongjiu happy, let alone one, even if there were 10 of them, Feng Shufan would do his best to make them. Since it was a gift to Li Zongjiu, it couldn't be too small. If it was smaller than the Feng family's stone lion, it would be courting death. If it really couldn't be made, Feng Shufan would melt the stone lion in his house and make a new one. Good boy. Just tell me what the Feng family wants. Li Zongjiu didn't beat around the bush. Feng Shufan hurriedly poured a cup of tea for Li Zongjiu. Earlier, my disappointing son offended you, Duke Li. I hope that Duke Li will be magnanimous and spare his life. After all, he only has 1 breath left. Feng Shufan felt like crying when he said this. After all, his son was beaten to such a state. It was hard for anyone to control their emotions. Only by crying like this could Li Zongjiu increase the chances of him being spared. Is that all? The child is still young. There's no need to be so calculative. Li Zongjiu said flatly. The child was still young. Hearing this from Li Zongjiu, Feng Shufan felt a little awkward. After all, Li Zongjiu was probably not even as old as Feng Jianshan. However, in front of Li Zongjiu, Feng Shufan could only nod and agree. Hearing that Li Zongjiu was willing to relent, Feng Shufan sighed. Feng Shufan heaved a sigh of relief. He didn't care about Feng Jianshan, but he was afraid that Li Zongjiu would use this as a pretext to make a fuss, or even vent his anger on the entire Feng family. If that happened, the consequences would be unimaginable. In comparison, sacrificing Feng Jianshan was worth it. Now that Li Zongjiu was willing to let bygones be bygones, Feng Shufan was naturally happy. At least Feng Jianshan's life would be spared. As long as he recuperated, there was still a chance to save him. Apart from that, I have another request. Feng Shufan suddenly said in a low voice. Li Zongjiu also looked over. Duke Li, please take action. You must kill all 3 patriarchs of the Compassionate Cloud sacred sect. Otherwise, the hundreds of thousands of people in Desert City will be plunged into misery and suffering. Given the temperament of these 3 old men, they will definitely slaughter the entire city. They will be buried with the Compassionate Cloud sacred sect. When he said this, Feng Shufan's eyes seemed to be filled with a sense of righteousness. Oh! What does it have to do with me whether they kill the people of Desert City or not? Li Zongjiu immediately laughed. This reason was a little too far-fetched. A ray of light flashed across Feng Shufan's eyes, as if he had finally made up his mind. Feng Shufan dares not lie to Duke Li. In fact, our Feng family is also backed by an primitive sect. The sect behind us has already found out that there is a secret treasure hidden in the mountain gate of the Compassionate Cloud Sacred Sect. However, the sect is protected by a formation set up by the three patriarchs. As long as the three patriarchs are alive, the formation cannot be broken. Chapter 1244. Li Zongjiu smiled disdainfully when he heard Feng Shuifan's words. Li Zongjiu had seen too many so-called secret treasures. In this life, he had never specifically searched for these treasures. These treasures were only slightly useful in the early stages, but they were no longer useful in the later stages. If one truly wanted to gain strength, they had to rely on their own cultivation. Especially after reaching the Supreme Being realm, there was nothing that could not be broken. Of course, the strength of people like Ancestor Xie Yun was only at the half-baked Supreme Being realm. They had yet to reach the true peak. That was why they were trapped by Li Zongjiu. Otherwise, it would not have been easy for Li Zongjiu to deal with them. Since it's a secret treasure, just let your people kill the three of them. Why do you have to share the loot with me? Li Zongjiu said calmly. Obviously, there was a trap in Feng Shuifan's words. Feng Shuifan was just the head of the Feng family. How could he know so many secrets? It was already good enough that he could keep himself alive. This was the order of the sect behind him. Even he himself did not understand why. Why did he have to share the loot with Li Zongjiu? Moreover, even if Li Zongjiu did not kill these people, they would not be able to escape. Li Zongjiu had already guessed the reason in his heart. This blood-heart formation was probably just a trap. They wanted to trap Li Zongjiu in order to obtain Li Zongjiu's treasure. It seemed that these people were quite despicable. In fact, the goal of the people behind the Fengs was not just the things in the Compassionate Cloud Sacred Sect. They also wanted to get rid of Li Zongjiu. Who gave them such courage? This. We don't know the secrets behind this either. After all, my cultivation base has yet to reach that level. Feng Shufan had a bitter look on his face. All he could do was wait for Li Zongjiu to agree. In fact, Feng Shuifan's only wish was that Li Zongjiu could kill the three Supreme Beings. Otherwise, the three Supreme Beings would definitely vent their anger on the Feng family, or even the entire desert city. No one would be able to survive then. Now, Feng Shuifan only wanted to protect the Feng family. He did not think too much about other things. Since you don't know, let those who know come out and tell us. Li Zongjiu suddenly said. Then, he stretched out his hand and slapped the wall beside him. In the hall, Li Zongjiu was sitting 10 meters away from the wall. However, under Li Zongjiu's palm, the wall was easily shattered into pieces. Boom! The wall collapsed, and at the same time, a series of houses on the road were also easily destroyed. A man in black hiding in a small courtyard felt the strong force of the palm coming at him. There was a hint of surprise in his eyes. He did not expect Li Zongjiu to discover him so quickly. Moreover, Li Zongjiu dared to directly attack him and force him out. When the palm came in front of him, he blocked it with the strength of a Supreme Being. Boom! A tremor burst out, but it didn't destroy the surrounding environment. However, this force directly spread out for thousands of meters. Everyone could feel the feeling that came from this force and attacked their hearts. As expected of the evil lord, Li Zongjiu. Su Wangshan of the Mountain Sea Pavilion is impressed. A sonorous voice was heard. Since he could no longer hide, there was no need for him to do so. He took a step forward and appeared in front of Li Zongjiu. With a single step, he crossed a distance of hundreds of meters. The Mountain Sea Pavilion. Li Zongjiu recalled this untainted land sect. In his previous life, he had a little contact with them. The people of this sect were very low-key, but the strength of the sect was not very impressive. Even among the many masters in the untainted land, they were extremely rare and ordinary. There were not many outstanding people. Now, the Mountain Sea Pavilion wanted to play some tricks on Li Zongjiu. Obviously, they were overestimating themselves. Su Wangshan was wearing a linen robe. Looking at his figure, he looked like a coachman. In fact, Su Wangshan often acted as a coachman in Desert City, not to make money, but to understand the process. Through this, he could break through his realm. Since you have the strength of a grade 4 supreme being, why do you have to be so sneaky? Li Zongjiu just glanced at Su Wangshan and said indifferently. Even if he already knew that Su Wangshan had the strength of a grade 4 supreme being, he did not panic at all. So what if you have the strength of a grade 4 supreme being? Obviously, in front of Li Zongjiu, he was not that strong. Listening to Li Zongjiu's words, Su Wangshan was secretly shocked. Only a person of a high realm could see through his strength at a glance. Even if he had reached the supreme being realm, it was very difficult to sense his specific level when he restrained his aura. Unless Li Zongjiu had some special skills, or Li Zongjiu's strength was much higher than Su Wangshan's. No matter what the situation was, it showed that Li Zongjiu was strong and should not be provoked easily. Therefore, after Su Wangshan was forced by Li Zongjiu's palm, he was very polite. Otherwise, Su Wangshan would definitely return the provocation of that palm 100 times over. As long as one was in the Supreme Being realm, they were not to be trifled with. Therefore, Su Wangshan was also very polite to Li Zongjiu. With your strength, it's not difficult to kill these 3 people. Why do you have to force me to do it? Are you interested in my soul-burning array or my other treasures? Li Zongjiu looked at Su Wangshan with a trace of coldness in his eyes. Obviously, if Su Wangshan's answer did not satisfy Li Zongjiu, he would suffer. This matter would not end so easily. The consequences of scheming against a Supreme Being realm expert were extremely severe. Evil Lord, please rest assured. It's not that we don't want to kill these 3 people, but there are rules in the chaotic sects. We can't easily take action and destroy other sections. If we do so, we will definitely be criticized by others. Moreover, it will bring us great trouble in the future. Su Wangshan said truthfully. There were great rules in the chaotic world. However, in the end, it was because one's strength had not reached the peak. If one's strength had reached the peak, who would dare to restrict one's strength? Although Li Zongjiu had been to the Untainted Land several times in the past, he had only tried to explore the Untainted Land but failed. In the end, he had retreated. However, he was not clear about the rules set by the sects in the Untainted Land. He did not have a deep understanding of them and did not care about them. There are such rules. Li Zongjiu felt a little interesting. It seemed that the sects in the chaotic world were also controlled by others. In his previous life, Li Zongjiu was too proud and arrogant. He did not care about anything. Firstly, he was not interested in anything. Secondly, he did not have a temperament. In his eyes, there was only the world and himself. However, it was different now. He had some understanding of these things. Chapter 1245. There are no less than a dozen sects in the Untainted Land. However, they are all the top experts of the Holy Martial Continent after all. In the beginning, many of them joined forces to reclaim the Untainted Land, which eventually led to the current situation. Therefore, all the sects have an ancestral rule. They can fight with each other, but they must leave behind a trace of incense for each other. They must never do something like exterminating the inheritance of others. Su Wangshan explained a lot of secrets of the Untainted Land. Even Li Zongjiu didn't know that these sects of the Untainted Land had originally entered the Untainted Land together with the same group of people, which left behind such a glorious situation. These sects were really powerful to be able to occupy a place in the Untainted Land. Moreover, all the sects in the Untainted Land have a common vision, which is to break through the Untainted Land and reach the legendary sacred martial realm. Su Wangshan continued. There was a hint of probing in his eyes. Those who could cultivate to the Tao sovereign realm must know about the existence of the sacred martial realm and could more or less sense it. If Li Zhongjiu didn't know about it, it meant that Li Zhongjiu's true strength was still to be tested. However, Li Zhongjiu also seemed to be very interested in the sacred martial realm. With your strength, you won't be able to break through the untainted land in the next 3,000 years. Li Zhongjiu said without any trace of politeness. Although the content of his words was extremely disdainful, his tone wasn't the slightest bit insulting. Instead, he was describing a very normal matter. It was a very simple narration. Even Su Wangshan was slightly taken aback. Although Li Zhongjiu's words were extremely arrogant, they were almost the same as what the old ancestor of the Mountain Sea Pavilion had said. Su Wangshan had also heard his old ancestor say that with the current progress, they wouldn't dare to venture into the untainted land. They didn't even dare to venture into the depths of the untainted land. Most of the sects only lived and operated in the periphery of the untainted land. If he attempted to enter the chaos, he would suffer extremely fierce attacks. Moreover, the terror of the origin beasts within was definitely not something that ordinary people were willing to imagine or come into contact with. It was unknown how many sects had misjudged their own strength and tried to enter the depths of the untainted land. In the end, not long after they set foot in the untainted land, they were completely annihilated. They did not even have a chance to escape. This change made it even harder for these sects in the prehistoric world to achieve their goals. Hence, they needed to preserve their strength. Hence, the various large sects in the prehistoric world rarely fought with each other. Instead, they spent most of their energy fighting with the environment around them. Su Wangshan was completely sure that Li Zhongjiu's strength was unfathomable. Although he didn't know much about the sects in the untainted land, he was quite clear about the untainted land and the sacred martial realm. It was also because of this that Su Wangshan was able to continue the discussion with Li Zhongjiu. Otherwise, it would have been difficult to persuade Li Zhongjiu. That's true. However, the sects also have means to obtain some resources from the sacred martial realm. Although they were left behind by the sacred martial realm, these things can at least help us get closer to the sacred martial realm faster. There's a sky-penetrating mirror hidden in the Compassionate Cloud sacred sect that can contact the sacred martial realm. Su Wangshan said. Feng Shifan, who was standing aside, couldn't keep up with the rhythm of the two men. He had no idea what they were talking about. He just kept pouring tea for the two big shots and was able to sit aside and listen. If I kill the three of them, it's equivalent to violating the sect's rules. I'll definitely be punished by the untainted land in the future, Su Wangshan said. Therefore, this matter needed an outsider to do it. Li Zhongjiu happened to be this outsider. Moreover, his strength was quite impressive. The fact that he could easily trap the three ancestors of the Compassionate Cloud sacred sect proved how powerful Li Zhongjiu was. It was extremely easy to kill the three of them. What benefits can I get by killing the three of them? Li Zhongjiu finally understood that this matter couldn't be done without him. Since Su Wangshan came to him in person, he naturally had to ask for an exorbitant price. If he didn't get enough benefits, Li Zhongjiu wouldn't waste so much effort. Su Wangshan pondered for a moment. With Li Zhongjiu's strength, it was easy for him to ask for anything. If he wanted to bribe Li Zhongjiu and establish a good relationship with him, he naturally had to offer something precious. Previously, when I observed the magic weapon in Evil Lord's hand, it contained spiritual qi. The device spirit must have been greatly damaged. I have a primeval raw stone from the depths of the untainted land. It has great benefits for the recovery of the device spirit. If Evil Lord is willing to help, I'm willing to give you the primeval raw stone. When Su Wangshan said that, he had a pained expression on his face. Primeval raw stone. How did you manage to get your hands on something like this? This made Li Zhongjiu a little surprised. These people were really capable to get the primeval raw stone. Li Zhongjiu had come into contact with this thing in his previous life, but at that time, Li Zhongjiu didn't have much of it. Most of it was used to refine the ancient sovereign soul fusion pill. In the process of the experiment, all of it was scrapped. Every time he wanted to get the primeval raw stone, it was quite dangerous. Of course, Li Zongjiu was tempted by the other party's offer of the primeval raw stone. However, Li Zongjiu wasn't so easily moved. 3. This person is worth at least one primeval raw stone. Li Zongjiu said. When Su Wangshan heard Li Zongjiu's words, he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This was too much. How could he directly ask for 3 primeval raw stones? Senior Evil Lord, you must know how precious the primeval raw stone is. Even my Mountain Sea Pavilion doesn't have much of it. As for the rest, I really only have 1 primeval raw stone. Even if you kill me, I can't get the rest. Su Wangshan said with a bitter face. Feng Shufan looked at Su Wangshan's expression and was so shocked that his eyes almost popped out. Su Wangshan, who had always been mysterious and arrogant, could actually show such an expression. Li Zongjiu was really a god. 3. I'll take action when I get all of them. Otherwise, my soul-burning formation can trap them for hundreds of years. Even if I'm not here, they can't get out, let alone die. I have all the time. Chapter 1247. In order to obtain this sky-penetrating mirror, Li Zongjiu had to take action. Originally, Li Zongjiu wanted to kill the 3 of them. However, when he thought that there was such a benefit in this mirror, he decided to delay for a while. Li Zongjiu had to keep these people alive, and then slowly wait. He, Li Zongjiu, could afford to wait, but these people couldn't. Li Zongjiu actually used such a despicable and shameless reason to blackmail them. Su Wangshan's expression instantly changed into one of gnashing teeth. He wanted to strangle this despicable and shameless person with his own hands. Obviously, his cultivation was already so high. What was the point? Why did he have to do this? Okay, 3 stones it is. Su Wangshan was not a person who would waste time. Since Li Zongjiu was willing to cooperate, 3 primeval raw stones would be the deal. If the heavenly mirror could be taken out, the value of the heavenly mirror would naturally be far more than these 3 primeval raw stones. There's also that heaven-span mirror. When the time comes, I'll have to study it. Li Zongjiu smiled when he saw Su Wangshan agree. Su Wangshan had to agree even if he didn't want to. Otherwise, what else could he do? He couldn't get this thing by himself. Of course, but the heavenly mirror itself contains a powerful force. Even if the 3 of them have studied it for so many years, they still haven't found anything. It's definitely not that easy to crack it. Su Wangshan said. When he talked about the heavenly mirror, there was a kind of indifference. It seemed that he had a card up his sleeve and was sure that Li Zongjiu wouldn't be able to find any trace of him in the heavenly mirror. Since you don't know how to use it, what's the point of giving it to you for a few days to study? This thing had been in the hands of the 3 old guys for so long, but they didn't seem to have any tricks up their sleeves. Not to mention Li Zongjiu. No problem. Give me the stone and I'll go kill these 3 people right now. Li Zongjiu said. He was not afraid that Su Wangshan would go back on his word, but he wanted to take the primordial raw stone and place it in the unparalleled sword to nurture the King of Fire. After absorbing the 3 prehistoric raw stones, he should be able to summon the King of Fire at will. I only have 1 right now. Don't worry, I'll give you the remaining 2 from the sect tomorrow. Su Wangshan said. Then, he took out a shining stone and handed it to Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu took the prehistoric origin stone. Feng Shufan stretched his neck, wanting to see what this stone, which was worth the lives of 3 supreme beings, looked like. However, there did not seem to be anything special about the prehistoric origin stone. In Li Zongjiu's hand, it was as quiet as a pebble by the river. Li Zongjiu sent the prehistoric origin stone into the unparalleled sword. Immediately, the unparalleled sword wrapped around the prehistoric origin stone. Because the King of Fire was of the fire attribute, Li Zongjiu usually kept the unparalleled sword in the fiery hell. In the fiery hell, the unparalleled sword and the prehistoric origin stone hovered in the air together, absorbing the power of the prehistoric origin stone bit by bit. Sensing that the King of Fire's power was recovering, Li Zongjiu smiled. Then, Li Zongjiu waved his hand. The 8 burning soul pillars, which were originally quietly hovering in the sky, suddenly began to rotate rapidly. The terrifying power immediately caused the 3 ancestors of the Compassionate Cloud sacred sect to change their expressions. Oh no, the power of the array has increased by 10 times. Quick, resist with all your strength. Attack its weak point. Attack one of the pillars. Ancestor Compassionate Cloud sacred sect roared. The 3 of them released their terrifying power at the same time to attack the burning soul pillars. However, they found that once they released their power, they would be attracted by the burning soul pillars. In the end, they could clearly feel the terrifying devouring power in their bodies. At this moment, they felt as if they were in a huge whirlpool. Every time the whirlpool rotated, a part of their power would be devoured. The burning soul array rotated for half an hour. After half an hour, the burning soul array dissipated. As for the 3 ancestors of the Compassionate Cloud sacred sect, they had already turned into ashes. No one knew why Li Zongjiu had to kill the 3 ancestors of the Compassionate Cloud sacred sect at this time. However, such a killing power was indeed terrifying. Everyone could only watch helplessly as the 3 people who were struggling were easily killed and turned into nothingness. All of their power was integrated into the soul-burning array. Li Zongjiu's body was once again replenished with some Yuan power. After all, he had refined 3 Yuan power experts who had cultivated for hundreds of years and were at the sovereign realm. However, the total amount of Yuan power that these 3 people had replenished was definitely not as much as the amount that Su Wangshan could refine and extract. If it was in his previous life, Li Zongjiu would definitely find a chance to refine Su Wangshan in order to improve his cultivation. However, Li Zongjiu disdained to do so now. He wanted to break through the Great Way realm and enter the Absolute Saint realm. He still needed to cultivate in a down-to-earth manner. He needed to consolidate this power to an incomparably solid state. It's done. All Li Zongjiu did was to operate the array. When the burning soul pillars came back, they also brought back 3 storage rings. Li Zongjiu naturally took all of them. Who knew what treasures were in them? For Li Zongjiu, they might be ordinary things. However, for others, it was probably something that they could never obtain in their lifetime. Good technique. Su Wangshan couldn't help but exclaim. He didn't know how Li Zongjiu had refined this array. Moreover, he had observed that the refining of the 8 burning soul pillars wasn't so easy. The techniques used were tens of thousands of years old. This technique could only be mastered by experts in the ancient times. It had long been lost. Could it be that there was an ancient sect behind Li Zongjiu? If that was the case, Li Zongjiu must have a great background. He must be treated well and not be offended. Whether it was his strength or his background, they were both quite terrifying. He was really a freak. Logically speaking, such a person shouldn't appear here at all. Obviously, Su Wangshan had already arranged who would take the things in the Compassion Cloud sacred sect. It was estimated that these people had been eyeing the things in the Compassion Cloud sacred sect for a long time. When they saw that the Compassion Cloud sacred sect was in trouble, they hurriedly arranged it. Once one side died, the other side would immediately take the things out. Otherwise, the other sects in the untainted land would have heard the news and rushed here quickly. A fight was inevitable. Even now, there seemed to be some problems. Su Wangshan's face showed a trace of seriousness. He cupped his hands towards Li Zongjiu. Evil Lord, please excuse me for a moment. Go, just don't forget about my great desolate origin stone. Li Zongjiu waved his hand and said. Immediately, Su Wangshan's figure disappeared in an instant. The original energy around him condensed directly and took Su Wangshan to the untainted land. Chapter 1248. Let me take a look at it first. Li Zongjiu said bluntly as he gestured for Gu Wei to hand it over. After a moment of hesitation, Gu Wei handed over the information in her hand to Li Zongjiu. Gu Wei knew Li Zongjiu well and knew that he would not go back on his word. Li Zongjiu flipped through the information collected by Gu Wei. There was only a little information about the Sparrow Divine Palace. However, Li Zongjiu had a rough idea about it. It was one of the first sects to invade the untainted land. It existed in the untainted land during the ancient times and is now in the depths of the untainted land. Li Zongjiu was slightly surprised. Although he had guessed that the Sparrow Divine Palace had an extraordinary background, he did not expect it to be so extraordinary. The depths of the untainted land was a forbidden place even for Li Zongjiu, who was at the peak of his previous life. It was extremely risky to enter the depths of the untainted land. Therefore, it was not easy for the current Li Zongjiu to set foot in the depths of the untainted land. There were some great powers in the depths of the untainted land. It was extremely difficult to fight against these powers. The Sparrow Divine Palace has only appeared 3 times in history. However, all of them were earth-shattering. Moreover, the Palace Master of the Sparrow Divine Palace is rumored to be able to enter the sacred martial world at will. Even in the legendary sacred martial world, he is not weak at all. Gu Wei said. Li Zongjiu saw a map in the information. It was extremely dilapidated and obviously had a long history. After opening it, Li Zongjiu could see the content recorded on the map. It was obviously a road map. This was found in the warehouse of a desolate family. It is a map to the Sparrow Divine Palace. Gu Wei said. Based on this map, those elixirs are indeed not enough to pay for it. Just state your conditions. Li Zongjiu memorized the map in his heart. To be able to obtain such a map, it showed that the Gu family had done their best. Otherwise, it would not have been easy to find this thing. Since they had done their best for Li Zongjiu would not treat them unfairly. Even if Gu clan wanted to become the leader of the 4 major clans or eliminate the other 3 major clans, it was not difficult for Li Zongjiu. He could do it easily. Gu Wei does not dare to ask for too much. I only hope that Senior Evil Lord can protect the Gu family for 100 years. Gu said hurriedly. Within 100 years, Gu family will pay tribute to Senior Evil Dominator every year, and the tribute will be 1% of our annual income. 100% of the annual income. The Gu family had such a large business and such unique resources. Just this alone was already quite a terrifying income, not to mention the annual income. Obviously, they were here to give Li Zongjiu money. One had to say that Gu Wei was quite smart. As long as Li Zongjiu didn't die, the Gu clan wouldn't be a threat. Everyone would give Li Zongjiu face and wouldn't make things difficult for the Gu clan. If they offended a principled and reasonable master, at least there was room to maneuver. But if they offended Li Zongjiu, then they would be finished. Because Li Zongjiu had always been unreasonable. Once he made up his mind, he would not change his mind too much. So one could imagine how miserable their end would be. Okay, no problem. Li Zongjiu also said without hesitation. He would receive money just by putting his name on the Gu family. Such a good thing, of course, Li Zongjiu would not let go of it. At least, by helping the Gu family, he would establish a good relationship with these forces. It would also be of great help to the development of the Li Zongjiu. It was impossible for the Li family to stay in Wuxia city forever. The only way to survive was to keep progressing. Otherwise, once you stop, it would be equivalent to regressing. At that time, the Xenas who wanted to devour you would appear in the future. Therefore, only by pushing the whole family to keep improving could the Li family continue to exist. Otherwise, no matter how high one's realm was, it was possible to be overtaken by others. Li Zongjiu was the same. There was no end to cultivation. He needed to keep improving and breaking through. Boom! Li Zongjiu raised his hand and condensed a flaming jade pendant in his palm. There was a word Li written on it. This was the jade pendant condensed by Li Zongjiu with the power of fiery hell. He handed this jade pendant to Gu Wei. If there is any danger, just inject your spirit energy into this jade pendant and call me for help at the same time. Li Zongjiu said faintly. This jade pendant was separated from Li Zongjiu's power. Therefore, no matter where it was, as long as it was not isolated by space, it could be easily sensed. Li Zongjiu could not sense Qi Yanran's existence because she was trapped in another independent space. Therefore, no matter if Li Zongjiu searched the Xingwu continent or the untainted land, it was to no avail. Thank you, Senior Evil Lord. Gu Wei was just taking a risk to try. After all, many experts did not like such restrictions. This was because once there was a karmic fetter, it would affect their own cultivation. Even many experts advocated the way of freedom more. If there was no entanglement in this thing, they would not be willing to use their reputation casually. Obviously, Li Zongjiu did not care about this at all. Since his name was still worth some money, he would quickly exchange it for money. Gu Wei happily received the jade pendant with the word Li in her hand. At least for the next 100 years, the family could be worry-free. It was almost impossible to imagine how a family would grow in 100 years. If it was handed over to a capable person to manage, the family's strength would be beyond imagination. Senior Evil Lord, do you want to enter the depths of the untainted land? Gu Wei put away the jade pendant in her hand. At the same time, she looked at Li Zongjiu with a doubtful and worried look. The depths of the untainted land was a forbidden area for experts. Countless people wanted to go in to test their strength, but there was no news about them. They had truly disappeared without a trace. Although Gu Wei knew that Li Zongjiu was powerful, if he entered the depths of the untainted land, he would most likely be in danger. She did not want an expert who she had just recruited to die in the untainted land the next day. If that happened, wouldn't all her efforts be in vain? She had worked so hard for so long in vain. Yes, but before that, there are still some things to do. Li Zongjiu said lightly. You are Li Zongjiu. Chapter 1249. You are Li Zongjiu. A voice rang out behind Li Zongjiu. Gu Wei also looked behind Li Zongjiu. What she saw was a resolute face, as if it had been cut by a long knife. His eyes were incomparably sharp, as if a casual glance from him would make one feel as if one's stomach was being cut open. Gu Wei only took a glance and did not dare to look again. Not bad. Li Zongjiu turned around and looked at the man in front of him. However, after Li Zongjiu answered, the aura of the man in front of him suddenly changed. Like a terrifying whirlpool force, it instantly condensed in front of him and gathered on his fist. He directly punched at Li Zongjiu. Spatial ripples could be seen appearing around the fist. 9th grade sovereign. Li Zongjiu's pupils shrank. This level of strength could only be achieved by a 9th grade sovereign at the very least. Immediately, Li Zongjiu reached out and grabbed Gu Wei, who was behind him. Gu Wei did not know what had happened, but her collar was grabbed by Li Zongjiu. Boom! Li Zongjiu and Gu Wei disappeared on the spot. However, this mysterious man in black punched the place where Li Zongjiu was standing just now, creating a huge pit that was nearly 100 meters deep. Everything within a radius of 500 meters evaporated directly, as if they had never existed. They disappeared in an instant. Whether it was the buildings or people, they disappeared completely. However, outside this range, there was no damage at all. He Xian's punch was quite beautiful. Escape. The corners of He Xian's mouth curled up into a sneer. It was not easy to find a person called Li Zongjiu, and this person seemed to have some ability. This made things even more interesting. At least, this task would not be easy to carry out. If it was too easy, it would be too boring for He Xian. 100 miles away. Li Zhongjiu and Gu Wei appeared. At this moment, the two of them had already arrived at the untainted land. They were surrounded by towering ancient trees. Just a glance at them would make one feel dizzy. In such an ancient forest, one would sigh at one's own insignificance. Even a mushroom by the side of the road was taller than a person. The medicinal value of such a mushroom was even greater than the 1,000-year-old Lingji mushrooms in ordinary forests. Even when Gu Wei's feet landed on the ground, she was still unable to react to what had happened and why she had suddenly come to such a place. Who was that person just now? Gu Wei took a deep breath and said in horror. The moment that person attacked, there was a feeling of devouring the heavens and earth. This was an extremely overbearing power. Gu Wei even seemed to have heard Li Zhongjiu say that the other party was a 9th-grade supreme martial artist. 9th-grade supreme martial artist. Was there a mistake? She was almost killed by a 9th-grade supreme martial artist just now. If Li Zhongjiu had not taken action and brought Gu Wei out, Gu Wei would have completely disappeared by now. Fortunately, Li Zhongjiu had taken action and brought her here. She had managed to keep her life. That is a soul beast that has cultivated into a human, the dark mysterious eagle. It really overestimated itself. Just now, Li Zhongjiu had only used such a teleportation technique to protect Gu Wei's life. After all, he had just promised to protect her family for 100 years. He couldn't possibly kill the person who had made the deal just after promising to protect her for a second. If that happened, wouldn't it be quite embarrassing for Li Zhongjiu? Didn't he want to save his face? They had to save the person first. According to Li Zhongjiu's estimation, the dark mysterious eagle would find this place soon. It's really been a long time since I've exercised my muscles and bones. Li Zhongjiu couldn't help but get excited. The power hidden in his body had not been gathered together for a long time. At this moment, wasn't it just the right time to release his power and have some fun with these people? Boom! Boom! Above the sky, a few figures quickly flew over. And one of them was actually someone Li Zhongjiu knew. It was Su Wangshan, whom he had just met last night. It should be known that Su Wangshan still owed Li Zhongjiu something. However, Su Wangshan's current state was obviously very bad. He was seriously injured, and a piece of bone was cut off from his shoulder. Master, be careful. The other figure was a woman in a green dress. The sword in her hand was also stained with blood. After landing, she quickly helped Su Wangshan up, and at the same time, looked at the people in front of her vigilantly. Why are you blocking our way? Quickly get out of the way. When the woman in green saw Li Zhongjiu and Gu Wei, she raised the sword in her hand and threatened them. After these two people appeared, they instantly stirred up the fluctuations in the surrounding space, causing Su Wangshan to have no choice but to land. In the eyes of the woman in green, Li Zhongjiu had blocked them. Qin Yu, don't be rude. When Su Wangshan saw Li Zhongjiu, his originally gloomy expression immediately recovered, and even a glimmer of hope lit up in his eyes. Obviously, the two of them were being hunted. Su Wangshan greets Evil Lord. Please help us, Evil Lord. Su Wangshan quickly said to Li Zhongjiu. Mountain Sea Pavilion's Pavilion Master, Su Wangshan. When Gu Wei heard the middle-aged man in front of her, she was immediately shocked. The woman in green, Qin Yu, was even more shocked. How could Qin Yu not know her master's identity? However, at this moment, she actually asked for help from a young man who looked younger than her. This made Qin Yu somewhat unable to accept. Master. Qin Yu quickly called out to her master. She couldn't let her anxiety get to her head. The person in front of her might be in cahoots with the Soul Capturer Palace. Say no more. I'm in a bad mood today, and I'm about to kill someone. Stand behind me. Li Zhongjiu waved his hand, indicating that Su Wangshan didn't need to say anything and just hide behind him. Su Wangshan was also stunned. Based on Su Wangshan's contact with Li Zongjio, this guy should be someone who loved money as much as his life. Moreover, he liked to extort people very much. But now, he was so generous. Although Su Wangshan couldn't figure it out, he knew in his heart that this opportunity couldn't be missed. If he hesitated and acted wishy-washy, it was very likely that he would lose this rare opportunity. Su Wangshan immediately brought Qin Yu along and thanked Li Zongjio. Then, he sat on the ground behind Li Zongjio. Qin Yue was naturally anxious. How could her master stop at a time like this? Moreover, from the looks of it, he seemed to be planning to continue cultivating here. Master, the people from the Soul Capturer Palace are about to catch up. Qin Yu said anxiously. Don't worry. You should also heal your injuries. Su Wangshan swallowed an elixir pill and immediately began to heal his injuries. Above the forest, several terrifying auras swept over in succession. Boom! 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 Several figures walked out from the forest. Hee, Su Wangshan, why aren't you running? I was almost trapped by your Bounty Mountain and Sea Battle Array. Fortunately, my years of research weren't in vain. When Qin Yu saw this person, there was considerable anger in her eyes. She raised the sword in her hand and pointed at him from afar. Master, you go first. I'll stop them. 9 figures appeared one after another. 8 of them were dressed in black robes with their hands hidden in the sleeves. It was impossible to tell what they were hiding in their hands. As for the 9th person, judging from his attire, he was also from the Mountain and Sea Pavilion. Chapter 1250. Elder Gu, why did you betray the sect? He pointed the Cyan Moon sword at Elder Gu and questioned him coldly. However, Elder Gu only smiled disdainfully. What is betrayal? I, Gu Xingyun, will definitely bring glory to the Mountain Sea Pavilion when I take over. It will not be limited to the current situation. Don't you know? In terms of talent, vision, and talent, I'm not as good as Su Wangshan. But that old bastard wants to pass the position of Pavilion Master to this good-for-nothing. For decades, the Mountain Sea Pavilion has not advanced and has not made any progress. If this continues, it will disappear in the untainted land sooner or later. Only I can lead the Mountain Sea Pavilion to the next step. The world of cultivation is very cruel. Gu Xingyun seemed to have been poked at his sore spot. However, Li Zongjio was not in the mood to listen to the sad history of the people in front of him. He did not use the unparalleled sword but took out the black dragon hammer. He needed to vent his anger and feel the power of blood. Of course, he would hammer someone to death. When Li Zongjio took out the black dragon hammer, the 8 people in front of him immediately followed. The 8 figures behind Gu Xingyun also made their moves. Li Zongjio had already taken out his weapon. Could it be that he still wanted to sit down and chat with you? This was definitely the rhythm of a fight. Therefore, the 8 of them moved together. The 8 of them threw out a black chain from their hands at the same time, which flew directly towards Li Zongjio. Boom! As the chain flew out, an extremely strong corrosive force was released. The grass and trees along the way were easily corroded at this moment. Boom! The 8 chains flew directly toward Li Zongjio and the others. Qin Yue saw the 8 people take action. Her master was also injured by these people's chains. Now that she saw them take action at the same time, she was extremely shocked. Gu Wei didn't even know what was going on before she was suddenly brought to this place by Li Zongjio. In the blink of an eye, she even saw the pavilion master of the Mountain Sea Pavilion, Su Wangshan. Moreover, Su Wangshan seemed to be in a severely injured state. It was obvious that the Mountain Sea Pavilion master had been injured by someone. Now, a series of dark elemental masters who used this strange weapon and possessed corrosive power had appeared. What kind of situation had he gone through today? Of course, although Gu Wei had sensed that the expert seemed to be a ninth-grade sovereign at the very beginning, she did not see the terrifying situation caused by the other party's attack. If she saw the current state of Desert City, she would probably be quite shocked. However, compared to the things that happened today, these things were nothing. Was there anything more exaggerated than this? Facing these 8 chains, Li Zongjiu smashed out with his hammer. The power of thunder surged out instantly and followed the 8 chains back to where they came from. Boom! The terrifying power of thunder appeared in an instant. The 8 people shook the chains in their hands, and the power of thunder was easily shaken off. Several more chains swept toward Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu did not dodge the chains at all. Pa! He reached out and grabbed 2 of the chains. Then, with a fierce pull, he pulled the people in front of him. With a smash of his hammer, the 2 people in front of him were directly blasted away. Half of their bodies were charred black. After that, Li Zongjiu's waist was suddenly hooked by the other party's chain. After being hooked, several sharp hooks extended from the chain, trying to penetrate Li Zongjiu's body. However, they found that Li Zongjiu's body was quite strong. Just relying on the hooks on the chain, they were unable to penetrate Li Zongjiu's body. Come here, all of you. With a tap of his foot, Li Zongjiu's body spun in a circle, bringing the remaining 6 people in front of him. He continued to use the hammer in his hand and viciously smashed the heads of these people a few times. Boom! Boom! 2 of the people's heads were directly cut in half by Li Zongjiu's hammer. The other 4 people were also simultaneously sent flying. In just a short moment of fighting, there was already an irreversible defeat. Li Zongjiu did not seem to be satisfied at all. His figure took the initiative to attack, instantly grabbing one of the people lying on the ground. That person only had time to widen his eyes and see Li Zongjiu's hammer falling directly on him. Boom! The hammer fell on the ground. Even the brain matter did not appear and did not fly out. There was only a charred black color at the neck. This person's head was easily destroyed. Even his body could still feel it. His hand was still moving, but his head was directly cut off. It was really terrifying. Run! There were 8 of them, 8 Supreme Being experts. At the same time, they were unable to defeat Li Zongjiu. They could not even hurt Li Zongjiu at all, let alone continue fighting. Even if they were to continue fighting, they would still end up dead. Therefore, the remaining 3 people, who still had the ability to move, directly got up and fled into the distance. However, just as they flew up, a black ray of light suddenly entangled the 3 of them. Not good. It was the soul-assimilating chain that they used to entangle them. Li Zongjiu could also use the soul-assimilating chain, which immediately shocked the rest of the people. The 3 people who were restrained looked at each other, as if they could see in each other's eyes that something bad was going to happen. Then, the 3 of them were directly pulled back. With a loud bang, the 3 of them fell heavily to the ground. Li Zongjiu's black dragon hammer smashed out one after another, smashing their heads one by one. 8 Supreme Beings. In front of Li Zongjiu, they were like paper. When Qingyue saw this scene, she finally understood why her master could sit on the ground calmly and begin to recover from his injuries. It felt as if she had found an extremely safe place. Now, Qingyue was completely stunned when she saw the strength displayed by Li Zongjiu. Could this young man before her be a monster? Li Zongjiu looked about the same age as her, or even younger than her. Even if Qingyue had such a cultivation at her age, she was already considered a rare genius by her master. What kind of level was Li Zongjiu at? Qingyue was in disbelief. Today, she had truly witnessed how terrifying an expert could be. It was indeed terrifying. Even Qingyue knew that the gap between her and Li Zongjiu was indescribable. The gap between people could actually be so huge. Su Wangshan smiled bitterly when he saw Li Zongjiu easily annihilate the 8 experts from the Spirit Capturer Palace. Although he knew that Li Zongjiu was powerful, he knew that Li Zongjiu was indeed powerful. The legendary evil lord definitely lived up to his reputation. However, he had never imagined that the evil lord's strength had actually reached such a level. This was no longer a simple matter of strength, but a realm. A true realm. In fact, Li Zongjiu had only used a limited amount of yuan energy in the previous battle. In the face of an expert like Li Zongjiu, yuan energy was merely a weapon and not the most basic energy source. Gu Xingyun naturally saw the 8 experts from the Spirit Capturer Palace being slaughtered like pigs. It even felt as if they were standing on the spot and being slaughtered by Li Zongjiu. They were actually such good-for-nothings. This caused Gu Xingyun to be extremely surprised. However, what was even more shocking was Li Zongjiu's strength. You. Who are you? Su Wangshan, who is this person? Is he an expert you invited? You actually invited an outsider to deal with your own people. Su Wangshan, you are not fit to be the pavilion master of the Mountain Sea Pavilion. Chapter 1251. When it was Gu Xingyun's turn, he immediately cowered. Just now, Gu Xingyun had been so unscrupulous because he had the support of a master from the soul-absorbing palace. He had even spoken out the darkness in his heart without hesitation. This kind of feeling was indeed very satisfying. However, it was also under the premise that these people would not be able to survive. However, who would have thought that the people on his side would be killed by Li Zongjiu in the blink of an eye? Moreover, Gu Xingyun did not know Li Zongjiu at all, so he did not know where Su Wangshan found such an expert. When Gu Wei heard Gu Xingyun's shameless words, she couldn't help but think that Gu Xingyun was really shameless. He could do it himself, but others could not. It was simply a dream for such a person to want to become a pavilion master. If the Mountain Sea Pavilion was handed over to such a person, it would probably close down in a short period of time. Escape while you still have some strength. Su Wangshan also looked at Gu Xingyun and said slowly. Li Zongjiu's temper was uncontrollable. Although Gu Xingyun was his junior brother, Gu Xingyun was no longer worthy of being his junior brother after what he had done today. Su Wangshan had never expected that his most trusted junior brother would be thinking about seizing the position of the pavilion master all the time. If Gu Xingyun's temperament was well-tempered, it would not take long for Su Wangshan to be willing to pass the position of the pavilion master to Gu Xingyun. It was just a position. Wasn't it all for the sect in the end? However, such a bigoted idea had completely killed Gu Xingyun. Qingyue did not say anything. Although she was unwilling to let Gu Xingyun go, Gu Xingyun was her martial uncle after all. However, whether Gu Xingyun could live or not still depended on Li Zongjiu's decision. You guys should stay away. Li Zongjiu said to Gu Wei and the others. Li Zongjiu gave each of those who hadn't died a blow with his hammer. What's wrong? Su Wangshan frowned when he saw Li Zongjiu's actions. It was obvious that something terrible was about to happen. Even someone as powerful as Li Zongjiu had to treat it seriously. That was why he asked them to retreat further away. After hesitating for a moment, Su Wangshan hurriedly got up and brought Qingyue and Gu Wei to hide far away. Blue Moon was extremely puzzled, but Gu Wei seemed to have guessed that it should be the guy who had sneak-attacked Li Zongjiu in Desert City. She didn't expect him to be so fast. One must know that it wasn't easy to find someone in the vast untainted land. Gu Xingyun was extremely confused when he saw that Li Zongjiu did not kill him. At this moment, Gu Xingyun suddenly raised his head and saw a figure descending from the sky. Boom! The person who landed directly trampled Gu Xingyun into a pile of meat paste. After all, Gu Xingyun himself was a third-grade supreme martial artist. Could it be that the Supreme Being realm was so worthless now? Junior brother. Su Wangshan clenched his fists in anger when he saw that his junior brother had been trampled to death. After all, they had been fellow disciples for hundreds of years. If he had died in the hands of Li Zongjio, it would have been fine. But who was this person who suddenly jumped down? What qualifications did he have to kill his junior brother? Moreover, looking at the other party's appearance, it seemed that he had stepped on a piece of watermelon skin and rubbed the bloody meat paste under his feet on the ground. Damn it, where did he come from? Is he an enemy of evil Lord? Su Wangshan looked at Gu Wei. Obviously, Li Zongjio was afraid of this person just now, so he asked them to retreat further away. Gu Wei also recognized this tall figure. It was the expert she had met in the city. Although she didn't see his face clearly, the feeling and the figure were definitely not wrong. Yes, I don't know his background, but he seems to be a 9th-grade supreme martial artist. Gu Wei was also worried about Li Zongjio. After all, this guy's strength was not simple. She didn't know if Li Zongjio could defeat him. But even if he couldn't defeat him, he shouldn't die like this. It was not easy for her to pull Li Zongjio into her Gu clan's camp. In the future, if anyone dared to harm her Gu clan, she could summon Li Zongjio to destroy them. With the name of Evil Lord, her Gu clan could at least develop rapidly for 100 years. 100 years would be a qualitative leap for a clan. Therefore, she didn't want to see Li Zongjio die like this. This was a resource she had found with great difficulty. She couldn't let it go to waste like this. Oh, so he is a 9th-grade supreme martial artist. Why are you so nervous? Wait. Damn, you, what did you say just now? Who is he? Su Wangshan felt as if he had bitten the root of his tongue just now. He didn't react at all. After digesting Gu Wei's words in his mind, he finally realized what Gu Wei had said just now. A 9th-grade supreme martial artist. Qingyue also covered her cherry mouth in surprise, his bell-like eyes widened even more. This was not a joke. A 9th-grade supreme martial artist. She had never heard of the existence of such an expert. Even in the 3 top sects in the central part of the untainted land, the strongest expert was only a 6th-grade supreme martial artist. However, the cultivation of a 6th-grade supreme martial artist was already equivalent to half the sky of the untainted land sect. Now, a mysterious expert of the 9th-grade supreme martial artist realm suddenly appeared. How could Qingyue accept this? Just when the 3 of them were shocked, Li Zongjio and He Xian also collided head-on. Boom! The 2 of them approached each other at the same time. In an instant, they collided. A powerful collision shockwave crazily spread out in all directions. Boom! Even Su Wangshan and the other 2, who had already retreated hundreds of meters, felt the force rushing to them instantly. With such a terrifying wave, it was no wonder that Gu Xingyan was directly trampled to death by this person. It was really quite terrifying. Su Wangshan hurriedly brought the 2 girls and continued to dash into the distance. Boom! When Su Wangshan's figure soared, he was also directly blown away by the energy wave that caught up with him. Bang! He flew out faster than his original speed. Su Wangshan endured the rolling blood in his body and forcibly brought the 2 of them to a distance of thousands of meters away. After landing, he directly spat out a mouthful of blood. He directly knelt on the ground. No wonder Li Zongjio asked them to stay away. No one would have thought that just the wave of the fight would be enough to injure a 4th-grade supreme martial artist expert within a range of thousands of meters. Wah! Su Wangshan continued to spit out a mouthful of blood. Master! Qingyue hurriedly asked with concern. Just now, it was because of Su Wangshan's profound skill that the 2 of them were protected. Otherwise, the 2 of them would be the ones spitting out blood now. Gu Wei, who was weaker, would probably be directly shaken to death in the wave of the fight just now. It's okay, it's okay. Let me take a pill to recover. This time, Su Wangshan finally knew that when a real master fought, there would be such a terrifying wave. Originally, Su Wangshan more or less thought that although his strength was weaker, he should be able to dodge a few moves from an 8th-grade supreme martial artist with his various means. However, when facing a real master of this level, Su Wangshan knew that when facing one of this level, there was basically no way to survive, and there was no way to escape. This Li Zongjiu also didn't know whether he could defeat the other party. Su Wangshan was also very curious about it. Li Zongjiu, on the other hand, was quite happy to fight with the other party. Chapter 1252. Li Zongjiu's body was covered in golden light. With the power of his golden body, he was able to collide with He Xian's body. Boom! The two of them clashed head-on. Li Zongjiu was extremely displeased with He Xian in front of him. He Xian thought that he had some strength and rashly challenged the authority of the evil lord. If this had happened in his previous life, he would have been able to crush such a person with just one finger. However, he still had to be careful now. At least in this head-on collision, Li Zongjiu also used some small tricks to deflect the force. Boom! Mountain-toppling golden seal. Li Zongjiu used a yuan skill that he had not used for a long time. It was at least a saint stage yuan skill. The mountain-toppling golden seal was released and instantly slammed into the ground, creating a deep pit. Boom! He Xian was also suppressed by the palm. He took Li Zongjiu's palm head-on, but there was no major problem. He Xian immediately opened a pair of wings. The moment the wings appeared, they pushed back Li Zongjiu's power. At the same time, he leaped and rushed towards Li Zongjiu. Boom! He kicked Li Zongjiu in the chest and directly kicked Li Zongjiu hundreds of meters away. He smashed into the ground and even slid a distance away, creating a deep pit. He Xian's body had just stabilized when he flapped his wings and descended from the sky. With the sharp points of his wings, he directly pierced towards Li Zongjiu's chest. If he were to be pierced, Li Zongjiu's chest would be easily penetrated. Roar! However, He Xian's move did not succeed. Then, he saw a blood-red light. Before He Xian could land, it took the lead and swept He Xian's body into the sky. Blood Dragon Soul. The Blood Dragon Soul wrapped around He Xian and swung him back and forth on the ground, constantly smashing him to the ground. The powerful force made it impossible for He Xian to break free for a moment. However, although he hit the ground, it did not cause any injuries to him. The latter was still quite stable, and could be said to be unharmed. He Xian also exerted all his strength at the last moment. When he landed, both of his feet were directly planted into the ground. The wings on his back also spread out instantly, and directly transformed into a height of more than 200 feet. The moment his body stabilized, his wings slashed furiously at the Blood Dragon's soul like an ice-cold blade. Boom! Double wing slash. The Blood Dragon soul was also directly shattered by the opponent's power, but the Blood Dragon soul was not stupid. Its figure instantly escaped and did not resist. Peerless slash. Li Zongjiu held the peerless sword in his hand. Because the King of Fire's strength had gradually recovered, the power of the peerless sword had increased a lot. Immediately, the sword fell from the sky. The sword chi instantly spread out for thousands of feet, directly splitting a small hill in the distance into two halves. Dust spread directly into the sky. Even though the trees in the chaotic forest were hundreds of feet tall, they seemed so powerless under Li Zongjiu's sword chi. Boom! 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 The shockwaves from the battle between the two had almost completely destroyed the environment within a radius of 1,000 feet. Su Wangshan took the two women and quickly retreated to a distance. If they continued to stay here, Li Zongjiu and the King of Fire might directly attack them. If they were to be slightly touched, they would be directly torn apart by the fluctuations of the battle between the two of them. Moreover, the two of them seemed to be in a rather anxious state. Naturally, they no longer cared about the destruction around them. Even if the three of them were accidentally injured, they would not notice it at all. If they were to be involved in the battle between the two of them, they could only blame it on their bad luck. Do you want them to come to your grave to pay their respects? Let's leave this place first. Su Wangshan also said in a deep voice. Although it was a little disloyal, in fact, they were useless here. Other than accidentally dying, there was really no use for them. Gu Wei was naturally willing. After all, a battle of this level was not so easy to come into contact with. If they were careless and lost their lives for nothing, wouldn't it be a great loss? Therefore, Gu Wei naturally agreed. However, Qingyue said to her master, "Master, please let me stay. This benefactor has helped me. Even if there are any mishaps, I have to stay here. Maybe he needs my help." Obviously, Qingyue was a person who respected kindness very much. At this moment, Li Zongjiu was facing a strong enemy and his life was uncertain. How could she leave just like that? Although Blue Moon wouldn't be of any use if she stayed behind, at least she would be able to jump out to help Li Zongjiu if he needed her help. What's the use of you staying here? Su Wangshan was obviously a little anxious. His disciple was good in every aspect, but she was too loyal and righteous. This was a good thing, but sometimes it would often make people anxious. Previously, when they almost couldn't escape, he also wanted Qingyue to leave first and then he would think of a way. However, Qingyue was unwilling to leave and insisted on protecting Su Wangshan until the last moment. He was simply angered to death by this girl. Now, seeing that Li Zongjiu was here and had encountered such danger, he also wanted to stay and help. However, even if a girl like her stayed, how could she be of any help? "Master, you'd better leave quickly," Qingyue said. Now that Gu Xingyun and the others were dead, the crisis of Mountain Sea Pavilion was temporarily resolved. Moreover, the Soul Capturer Palace also suffered heavy losses today. It would take them some time to make a comeback. Therefore, Su Wangshan was relatively safe. As long as her master was fine, Qingyue could do other things with ease. When Su Wangshan saw that he couldn't persuade Li Zongjiu, he simply stayed here and waited for the result of Li Zongjiu's battle. Even his disciple stayed here. As the master, if he left now, he would be looked down upon by others. They might even think that he was running away from the battle. It would be a shameful thing if this spread out. Therefore, Su Wangshan also chose to stay. However, for safety's sake, he also directly evacuated with the two women to a distance and gave each of them a defensive talisman. If there was a sudden shock wave, the talisman could be used to defend against it. At least, they could keep their bodies intact. At this moment, they had retreated nearly 10,000 miles away. However, they could still feel the shock wave from the battle between Li Zongjiu and the opponent. It was so shocking and powerful. Boom! Boom! Li Zongjiu merged the power of the three dragon souls and strengthened himself. He also suppressed He Xian in front of him with the power of the towering fire. He also directly displayed all kinds of combat skills. This made He Xian truly feel that the person in front of him was difficult to deal with. He was actually so difficult to deal with. It was terrifying. Even He Xian found that his attacks were useless after a series of attacks. He couldn't hurt or even defeat Li Zongjiu at all. He Xian simply gritted his teeth and transformed into his original form to entangle with Li Zongjiu. Boom! Li Zongjiu was caught by the opponent's claws. Then, his body directly crashed into a mountain peak. He flew down from the sky and crashed into the ground. If it weren't for Li Zongjiu's good cultivation of the ancient golden body scripture, he would have been smashed into pieces. Boom! Mustering all his strength, he directly broke free from the claws that were grabbing him around his body. Unparalleled sword. An earth-shattering aura was released. Immediately, the unparalleled sword erupted. The terrifying power seemed to have penetrated the ancient and modern times. As the power of the unparalleled sword appeared, the untainted land seemed to have been split into two. At this moment, there were still some experts exploring the untainted land. Suddenly, they saw the light soaring into the sky and immediately felt shocked. What kind of power is this? They are fighting with such earth-shattering power. Some of the people who saw this scene were shocked. At the same time, they also rushed here. However, they didn't dare to get too close. If they were too close, they would be directly injured by the shock wave of the battle. Chapter 1253. Li Zhongzhou's peerless sword also turned into a white light, protecting his body. Under this sword attack, He Xian's figure also directly disappeared, which made Li Zhongzhou vigilant. Because at this moment, Li Zhongzhou also couldn't capture the other party's figure. Obviously, the speed of this instant had reached the extreme, and even Li Zhongzhou couldn't sense it at all. Boom! A figure directly emerged from the space, directly grabbed Li Zhongzhou, and in the next second, brought Li Zhongzhou into a pitch-black world. Boundless Samsara Domain. The power of the domain cultivated by the dark mysterious eagle was also displayed in front of Li Zhongzhou at this moment. Li Zhongzhou's feet and surroundings were also filled with a terrifying power, which seemed to be constantly reincarnating to hide something. Moreover, it was also playing the scenes of Li Zhongzhou's past. Sink into my world of endless reincarnation. The voice of the dark mysterious eagle seemed to be transmitted from ancient times, echoing in front of Li Zhongzhou's body. Li Zhongzhou was immersed in it, and seemed to be trapped, unable to move, and the dark mysterious eagle also couldn't do anything. Only by seeing through reincarnation can one break through to the 9th grade sovereign realm. Without the cultivation of a 9th grade sovereign, it is absolutely impossible to escape from my samsara domain. The dark mysterious eagle was quite confident in his own strength. As for the scenes in this reincarnation, only Li Zhongzhou himself could see them. The scenes that everyone saw were different, but they were all scenes that belonged to them. Therefore, the dark mysterious eagle only needed to wait here for Li Zhongzhou to sink into it bit by bit, and everything would be solved, and Li Zhongzhou would be completely eliminated. When Li Zhongzhou sank into his endless memories, he would become a puppet that had lost all emotions and senses, and would be at the mercy of others. He Xian waited for a while. With Li Zhongzhou's cultivation, he might be able to immerse himself in it, and resist for a while. Therefore, He Xian also got a chance to catch his breath. This is really killing me. What is the origin of this guy's sword? He Xian opened his sleeves, and there were wounds all over them, some of which were very deep. Even with He Xian's strength, it was difficult to force this power out. At least a certain amount of time was needed to ensure that his injuries could be healed. He originally thought that the task given by the 3 venerables would be very simple, but he never thought that it would be so difficult to deal with. If it weren't for He Xian's many tricks, he probably wouldn't have been able to hold on until now. It's about time. Now it's time for me to take action and harvest you. Absorbing this person's primordial spirit will definitely strengthen me a lot. He Xian thought so in his heart. After waiting for a while, he felt that he couldn't wait any longer. He wanted to deal with Li Zhongzhou as soon as possible so that it would be easier to report this matter when he returned. However, just as He Xian approached Li Zhongzhou and was about to wring Li Zhongzhou's neck, He Xian suddenly opened his eyes. Then, he saw Li Zhongzhou open his eyes and directly slash at He Xian with his sword. Boom! The overbearing sword qi seemed to roar in his ears. Listening to this sound made him feel like his body was being torn apart. Oh no! He Xian's face immediately changed. He instantly realized that he couldn't avoid this sword. He could only turn his body and block in front of his body with his wings. However, Li Zhongzhou's sword had obviously been accumulating power for a long time. Therefore, when the sword fell, He Xian also couldn't avoid it. Boom! His wings, which were as hard as 10,000 years dark iron, were directly cut off. He Xian suddenly burst out with a painful roar. He had never suffered such a serious injury in thousands of years. Today, he was seriously injured by Li Zongjiu's sword and directly cut off his wings. The fallen wings lost the concealment of the original Yuan power and immediately changed into their original strength. In the untainted land, a broken wing over 100 meters long fell from the sky and landed on the ground with a loud bang. He Xian, who was in the realm, no longer hesitated. After his wings were cut off, he immediately escaped from the realm. How could Li Zongjiu let go of such a good opportunity? Li Zongjiu had finally managed to severely injure He Xian. If he were to let He Xian escape now, it would be akin to releasing a tiger back into the mountains. Moreover, Li Zongjiu had to figure out the background of this He Xian. Someone must have ordered He Xian to do this. Soul Burning Array. 8 burning soul pillars, which carried the aura of towering flames, roared and blocked He Xian's escape route. Li Zongjiu also released the unparalleled sword in his hand. Immediately, the unparalleled sword soared into the sky and hovered above the soul-burning array. He Xian, who was below, was completely suppressed. Demon-suppressing ruler. Li Zongjiu also threw out the demon-suppressing ruler in his hand at the same time. Although the demon-suppressing ruler was specially used to deal with the ancient demon clan, with the power of the demon-suppressing ruler, it was also very effective against meta-beasts. Roar! He Xian roared angrily. His body suddenly changed, and he actually changed back to his original form. However, he was still suppressed in the soul-burning array and couldn't escape. Raging flames were burning on the burning soul pillars, which directly burned the dark mysterious eagle. Moreover, the flames were also aimed at the dark mysterious eagle's soul power. At this moment, the dark mysterious eagle seemed to be in a hell full of flames. Why are you not affected by my reincarnation realm? The dark Xian eagle kept roaring in anger. He simply couldn't understand what was happening. It was impossible. Perhaps the difference in strength could be compensated with other things, such as Yuan tools, Yuan techniques, and so on. However, the dark Xian eagle's reincarnation domain was not something that could be easily broken. Only when the dark mysterious eagle reached the real realm, could it walk out of the reincarnation realm. Your little trick to fool a child might work on ordinary people, but it's still not enough to deal with me. Li Zongjiu said with a disdainful smile. If it was a normal fight, it wouldn't be easy to defeat the other party using Yuan Qi. However, this thing just had to compete with Li Zongjiu in terms of realm. If it was an ordinary person, they would be crushed by the difference in realm. Naturally, they wouldn't be able to fight with you and win against He Xian. However, Li Zongjiu's identity was different. In his previous life, Li Zongjiu had already reached the pinnacle, and his realm was several levels higher than He Xian's. In the sovereign realm, there was a difference of 9 small realms. Li Zongjiu's realm had already reached the pinnacle, which meant that he couldn't be any stronger. Therefore, it was impossible for He Xian to trick Li Zongjiu. Of course, Li Zongjiu wouldn't tell He Xian that he was the reincarnation of a pinnacle expert. Chapter 1254. He Xian was trapped in the soul-burning formation. It was roasted out of its original form. However, Li Zongjiu would need a long time to completely refine He Xian. Given the current situation, Li Zongjiu would find it difficult to refine He Xian. The gap between their strengths was still there. Brat, you'll be dead when I break the formation. He Xian said in a deep voice. One of its wings was cut off by Lin Fan. This was a great humiliation to He Xian, no, to any meta-beast. How could it live with such humiliation? Therefore, He Xian had to find an opportunity to kill Li Zongjiu. At this moment, He Xian had already informed some of his friends to come and rescue him in the form of a meta-beast. As meta-beasts that lived in the Eldritch world, they needed to form groups in order to survive. Even among these meta-beasts, there would be some terrifying opponents. There would also be meta beasts that hunted other meta beasts. Therefore, when one's strength reached a certain level and everyone's temperament was to their liking, they would become partners. Moreover, He Xian was not the only meta beast recruited by the three venerables. Dealing with He Xian alone was enough to exhaust Li Zongjiu. If there were a few more meta beasts, they would be able to kill Li Zongjiu easily. There would be no chance at all. You talk a lot of nonsense. Tell me, who sent you here? Li Zongjiu was certain that he had no enmity with He Xian. In fact, he did not even know He Xian in his previous life. Therefore, He Xian must have been sent here by someone. The sense of danger that he sensed a few days ago was brought about by He Xian. To be precise, it was brought about by the person behind He Xian. To be able to send an expert like He Xian, the person behind him must be even more terrifying. Therefore, Li Zongjiu's questioning made He Xian feel as though his heart was being stabbed. No one instigated me. He Xian also knew the rules of this industry. If he exposed the venerable behind this, wouldn't it be equivalent to being a traitor? Therefore, He Xian hurriedly made up a lie. It had to be said that the intelligence of these meta beasts was still the same even after they were reborn as humans. There wasn't much change at all. Alright, since you don't want to tell me, I won't ask. Once I refine your soul, I will naturally know who you listen to. The primordial spirit was a type of powerful mental strength cultivated by the meta beast. It was called the primordial spirit, and it was an extremely important energy for these primordial spirit beasts to cultivate. They could only cultivate this primordial spirit after painstakingly cultivating it. If Li Zongjiu seized it all today, the consequences would be unimaginable. Therefore, He Xian was startled. However, he wasn't sure if Li Zongjiu really had the ability to do so. Nevertheless, he felt uneasy being in this soul-burning array. Even his primordial spirit was a little loose, as though it was being refined. Whoosh! Whoosh! 3 figures landed directly in front of Li Zongjiu. At the same time, they looked curiously at the dark mysterious eagle that was trapped in the array. Their eyes widened as they stared at the dark mysterious eagle in front of them in disbelief. From the aura of the dark mysterious eagle, one could indeed feel the existence of a monstrous dark yuan energy. For Su Wangshan, just a wisp of dark yuan energy was enough to kill him easily. Therefore, in the face of such a terrifying existence, Su Wangshan didn't dare to get close. However, he was now trapped by Li Zongjiu's means. This is a 9th grade sovereign level soul beast. Su Wangshan mustered up his courage and walked in front of the dark mysterious eagle to observe it. However, the dark mysterious eagle let out a sharp whistle, causing Su Wangshan to retreat continuously. He was almost scared out of his wits by the whistle. It was indeed a 9th grade sovereign. It was obviously trapped in the array, but it was still so terrifying. Su Wangshan also retreated continuously, patting his chest to catch his breath. Why haven't you left yet? Li Zongjiu looked at the 3 people who suddenly appeared. The surrounding environment had already been smashed into such a state. If there were still people in the area just now, he didn't know what would have happened. Therefore, the 3 of them were in a very dangerous situation. After a fight, who would care about the 3 of them? It's all because of my disciple. She insisted on staying and saying that she wanted to help you. Su Wangshan also heaved a sigh of relief. Qin Yu's persistence was also quite a good thing. At least in the current situation, Li Zongjiu's strength was still a level higher. He directly defeated the 9th grade sovereign in front of him. Now that they were trapped in the array, it would be difficult for them to get out. It was enough to show Li Zongjiu's powerful and terrifying strength. Li Zongjiu immediately glanced at Qin Yu. Qin Yu herself was also a little embarrassed. After all, she didn't have any other intentions. She just felt that if she just left like this, it would be a little too disloyal. Therefore, she also wanted to stay. Stupid. Li Zongjiu directly threw out 2 words. In a short time, Qin Yu's face became quite ugly. She couldn't wait to directly attack and stab the man in front of her to death. How dare he talk to her like this? If this wasn't ungrateful, then what was? However, thinking that even if she and her master joined forces, they still wouldn't be a match for him. Therefore, she shook her head and let it go. She would temporarily hold back her anger. Otherwise, they would just be courting death. However, this matter didn't end here. Such a big commotion just now also directly attracted some experts who were active in the untainted land. At this moment, they were also rushing over from afar. Boom! 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 In the sky, a few auras swept over without any concealment. These people also didn't hide their body fluctuations. The powerful aura of the sovereign realm was directly released. There were a total of 5 people who arrived almost at the same time. Or it could be said that these 5 people had been waiting in the surroundings for a long time. Now that the situation in the battle circle had stabilized, they rushed in without hesitation. One of them directly picked up the wing of the dark mysterious eagle that fell on the ground. Such a huge wing, the moving light on it, also made these people quite shocked. What a strong fluctuation of origin energy. This origin beast's cultivation is at least at the 7th grade sovereign realm. The 5 people surrounded the dark mysterious eagle and marveled at its strength. At this moment, the dark mysterious eagle was trapped in the array and was surrounded by these people like a captive pet. This made the dark mysterious eagle extremely angry. Its fierce eyes remembered the faces of these people in front of it. After it got out of the array, it would definitely kill each and every one of them. Otherwise, the anger in its heart would be difficult to eliminate. Li Zongjiu wasn't interested in these people who came over. They were just some cowardly bandits. If they really had the ability, they would have directly attacked just now. There was no need for them to wait until now. Wasn't it because they were frightened by Li Zongjiu's strength? Isn't this Su Wangshan from the Mountain Sea Pavilion? Why? Could it be that you have subdued a origin beast? Someone recognized Su Wangshan, but obviously, these people's interest fell on the dark mysterious eagle. Today, they appeared to directly take the dark mysterious eagle away. Su Wangshan could only recognize 2 of them. These 2 were quite famous experts in the untainted land. One of them was the deputy lord of the vast sea sect, Lu Pingfeng. The other was the great elder of the cold blood sect, Zhao Leng. Both the cold blood sect and the vast sea sect are the first echelon of the untainted land. In the untainted land, the mountain sea pavilion could only be considered the 2nd echelon. As for the compassionate cloud saint sect, it was only the 3rd echelon. After tens of thousands of years of evolution in the untainted land, the number of sects that existed was already unknown. At any time, an existence that had disappeared a long time ago would appear. The other 3 people looked unfamiliar, but their strength was incomparably powerful. Because of this, Su Wangshan was surprised in his heart. It seemed that there were a lot of hidden experts in the untainted land. Seniors, you must be joking. This origin beast was obtained by the evil lord. Su Wangshan cupped his hands to the 5 people. The aura of the 5 people was around the 5th grade. Very few of them had reached the 6th grade. Reaching the 5th grade was already quite powerful. In the untainted land, it wouldn't be a big problem for them to walk sideways. The reason why he introduced Li Zongjiu was to tell these people that Li Zongjiu in front of them was not to be trifled with. Chapter 1255. However, there would always be people who did not take others seriously. The great elder of cold blood sect, Zhao Leng, smiled. However, his smile was filled with extreme coldness. Just this smile alone made one feel as if they had fallen into an extremely cold ice cellar. As an expert who specialized in collecting information in this desert city, Gu Wei hurriedly recorded the scene and the people that appeared before her. Because of the existence of these people, any one of them would cause an uproar in this desert city. The entire city would be shaken. It was enough to shake the entire city. This trip was really worth it. He actually managed to obtain so much hidden and precious information. Not only did these legendary great desolate Aeon sects exist, but there were also so many of them. They were clearly here, but it was hard to find any traces of these people in the desert city. Indeed, birds of a feather flocked together. After following Li Zongjiu for less than half a day, she had already witnessed countless earth-shattering things. This also shocked Gu Wei. At the same time, she did not let go of this opportunity to record. However, Gu Wei had a feeling that something was about to happen. This was because the attitude of the person who came seemed a little arrogant. Gu Wei had never seen anyone who could be so arrogant in front of Li Zongjiu. Even the records of Li Zongjiu did not mention such a person, let alone one who was still alive. Evil Lord. What a coincidence. This old man has a nickname as well. It's called Cold-Blooded Evil Lord. Do you think you're more qualified, or do you think I'm more qualified? Zhao Leng was completely targeting Li Zongjiu. Both of their cultivations had already reached such a level. Usually, there was nothing to hide. They would just go straight to the point. If you wanted to do something, you could do it. Then just come at me directly. Li Zongjiu liked this kind of temper. He never beat around the bush. If you wanted to die, just say that you wanted to die. It's a misunderstanding. Seniors, Evil Lord is not from the elemental sect. Today, Senior Evil Lord is only here to take this primordial beast away. He will leave now. Su Wangshan hurriedly stepped forward and said. This action was just to save the lives of these people in front of him. At the same time, it was also to stop Li Zongjiu from attacking again. After all, he had just fought a great battle and consumed a lot of energy. If he were to face these people again, he might not have any chance of winning. Alright, it's just a few pieces of trash. Li Zongjiu called Su Wangshan back. You want this dark Xian eagle? Come at me if you have the ability. Li Zongjiu said. Hearing Li Zongjiu's arrogant declaration of war, it seemed to indicate that even if the few of them joined forces, they would not be able to defeat Li Zongjiu. How could they tolerate this? They had been roaming the untainted land for many years. How could they be frightened by a kid like you today? You're courting death. Today, I will teach you a lesson on behalf of your clan's elders. Zhao Leng took a step forward. The cloak behind him suddenly rolled up a cold light and directly enveloped Li Zongjiu. Su Wangshan and the others also stood beside Li Zongjiu. Facing this attack, they also had no chance to escape. It was as if the entire world had turned dark. Everything in sight was rapidly disappearing. Suddenly, when the darkness reached its peak, a bright sword light directly whizzed out and easily split the incomparably dark world in front of them. Li Zongjiu held the unparalleled sword in his hand and easily split the cloak in front of him. At the same time, the sword light swept towards Zhao Leng. Zhao Leng only had time to look frightened. Just as he was about to dodge, he felt a mental energy trap him and directly locked him in place. It was only a moment of hesitation. The shocking sword chi had already descended upon them. Boom! Zhao Leng's body was directly cut in half. No one could be able to resurrect after being cut in half. That would be too ridiculous. When the four people behind saw Zhao Leng's miserable state, their eyes widened. They knew Zhao Leng's strength. Among the five of them, Zhao Leng's strength was at least in the top 3. Two of them were even weaker than Zhao Leng in front of them. Who would have thought that in the blink of an eye, he would be killed by Li Zongjiu? Cold-blooded evil lord. You are more suitable. After a while, your blood will turn cold. Li Zongjiu looked at the corpse of cold-blooded evil lord on the ground and said indifferently. There was actually someone who gave him such a nickname. Great, of all things, he had to be called cold-blooded. Now that his dream had come true, there was nothing more to say. The strength of Zhao Leng in front of them was on par with them. They were both fifth-grade sovereigns, but in the blink of an eye, he was directly cut in half by Li Zongjiu's sword. Such a horrifying scene was inconceivable to them. It happened so fast that they couldn't even react. The vast C-sect's deputy sect leader, Lu Pingfeng, was also shocked. Only then did he calm down and look at the person in front of him. I was just passing by. I saw that there was something strange here, so I came to observe. I don't know this person, so I will take my leave. I won't disturb evil lord. Lu Pingfeng didn't have any backbone. He turned around and flew into the distance. If he didn't escape, he might end up in the same situation after being caught by Li Zongjiu. A person who could kill Zhao Leng with a single sword strike was naturally capable of killing anyone present with a single sword strike. You have your own means, but Zhao Leng doesn't have any. Don't ever think that you are prepared. Others are careless and think that they are stronger than others. In fact, everyone's strength is about the same. You may not even perform as well as others. It was because of this that these experts in the untainted land lived longer than ordinary experts. They were more aware of their own limitations. If they didn't know their own limitations in the untainted land, it was only a matter of time before they died. Even this time would come faster than you think. The remaining 3 people also hurriedly cupped their fists at Li Zongjiu. Then, with a leap, their figures disappeared in the direction they came from. When they left, they were quite straightforward, just like when they came. Master, these people, Qingyue didn't expect that the people in front of her would be so spineless. They left just like that. They really didn't have any temper at all. Was this still one of those legendary experts in the untainted land? How could they escape just like that? What's so strange about that? You have to learn this move in the future. In the untainted land, it's not shameful to admit defeat. Staying alive is the most important thing. Su Wangshan said righteously. Qingyue looked like she had learned a lesson. Gu Wei, on the other hand, was quite surprised by this kind of teaching. These experts were already considered top experts. How could they be so shameless? It really made people feel incomparably amazed. It could be considered as overturning Gu Wei's thoughts and views. He also recorded this more realistic untainted land in his hands. Cough, cough. Senior Evil Lord, what's your next plan? Su Wangshan said. They couldn't stay here forever. If they continued to stay here, not to mention some experts in the untainted land, even some meta beasts would sense the commotion and come quickly. By then, it would be hard to say what would happen. Every place in the untainted land was relatively dangerous. The most dangerous thing was that you didn't even know what kind of danger would appear. That thing just now, where's his sect? Li Zongjiu pointed at the corpse on the ground and said. It was the corpse of the cold-blooded evil venerable. Since he had such an arrogant name, Li Zongjiu naturally wanted to let them know who the real evil venerable was. Yes, it's in this direction. Miss, can you do me a favor and send her back to me? Li Zongjiu said to Qingyue. After all, Gu Wei was brought to the untainted land by Li Zongjiu. The terrifying existences in the untainted land and the various dangers weren't at a level that Gu Wei could withstand. Therefore, it was safer to send her back as soon as possible. Chapter 1256. Gu Wei naturally couldn't wait to return to the city. The world she had experienced along the way was simply too crazy. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that it was crazy. Moreover, it was too dangerous for Gu Wei. Preserving her life was the most important thing. Thank you for your trouble, Miss Qinyu. Gu Wei hurriedly said to Qinyu. She could tell that Qinyu didn't seem to want to be separated from them. If anything were to happen, it would be a huge problem for Gu Wei. In the end, Qinyu had no choice but to agree. Wait for me at the sect after you're done sending this lady off. Su Wangshan said. Then, he and Li Zongjio disappeared into the forest. Li Zongjio also shifted the soul-burning array to the fiery hell. In the fiery hell, the power of the unparalleled sword was stronger. He Xian had no idea what kind of place he was brought to, which made him very angry. He was extremely angry. However, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break out of the soul-burning array. Even if Li Zongjio didn't lead it personally, he still couldn't break out of it. Moreover, there was still the demon-suppressing ruler above him. However, He Xian was also confident that he could maintain this place for at least hundreds of years. It was almost impossible for a mere large array to refine He Xian. However, if he wanted to rush out, he had to either wait for someone to save him, or he had to make a breakthrough in his own realm. This is really strange. Why did I suddenly fall for it? And this guy, he's immune to my reincarnation domain. There must be something wrong with this. Something is strange. The quiet time gave He Xian more time to think. At this moment, Li Zongjio and Su Wangshan were already rushing towards the Cold Blood sect. However, the death of the first elder of the Cold Blood sect had shaken the entire Cold Blood sect. As a sect in the Desolation era, the sect naturally had its own means to observe the life and death of every expert in the sect. These important figures could not be missing. Immediately, the entire Cold Blood sect was shaken. Moreover, the sect's emergency summoning bell also woke up some of the people who were in seclusion. The sect's first elder had been killed. How could they still be in the mood to continue cultivating? Even if they were cultivating, this was not the time. This was the time to strike. If they did not strike now, then no matter how strong their cultivation was, it would be useless. Therefore, everyone in Cold Blood sect was completely awakened. When everyone came out of seclusion, they immediately received this frightening news, which was completely unexpected. What? The Great Elder is dead. Are you serious? Fuck, this is too ridiculous. The Great Elder has already reached the realm of 6th grade sovereign. In the Desolation era, as long as he doesn't step into the depths of the Desolation era, basically nothing will happen to him. How could he be dead just like that? Who knows? Didn't I just come out of seclusion? Many experts directly gathered in the Cold Blood sect's cultivation square. In just a quarter of an hour after the bell rang, there were already more than 20 experts gathered in the square. Of course, these people were not at the realm of supremacy. In order to enter the realm of supremacy, one needed not only talent, but also a large amount of resources. With the help of elixirs, even if one's talent was ordinary, it would be enough to break through the barrier and reach the realm of supremacy. However, if one's talent was good, but still lacked the final step, it would be very difficult to rely on oneself to break through. Therefore, sometimes, it was necessary to borrow strength. Wasn't borrowed strength still strength? As long as one could use it, it was where one's strength lay. Even the sect master of Cold Blood sect, Zhao Han, who was in seclusion all year round. He also personally appeared. The Great Elder, Zhao Leng, was Zhao Han's son. Originally, as the sect master of Cold Blood sect, Zhao Han was basically in a state of seclusion. In order to pursue a higher realm and stronger strength, he had also handed over the sect's affairs to Zhao Leng to handle. However, there was basically nothing for Zhao Leng to handle. He just had to ensure that the sect was not suddenly destroyed. However, who knew that the sect was still there, but it was gone. Zhao Han climbed out of an ice coffin. When Zhao Han appeared, all the disciples of Cold Blood sect felt a cold wind that seemed to be circling around their heads. Such a gloomy and cold aura made everyone involuntarily shiver. What exactly happened? Has Zhao Leng's body been found? Zhao Han had been cultivating for nearly 600 years. It was more than 100 years ago that he completely immersed himself in cultivation after nurturing Zhao Leng. Who would have thought that in just 100 years, something like this would happen? Logically speaking, no one would do anything to Zhao Leng. After all, Zhao Han's reputation was there. Time in the untainted land seemed to pass faster than outside. Therefore, even a person's reputation could last for at least 1,000 years. After all, after reaching the Supreme Being realm, it wasn't a problem for one to live for more than 1,000 years. The experts from 1,000 years ago might still be cultivating in seclusion somewhere and hadn't died yet. Even for Supreme Being experts, it wasn't easy for them to die. After all, the primordial world was only so big. It was clear at a glance how much weight each other had. Who could be offended and who could not be offended? You know that I, the unparalleled evil lord, am still alive. How dare you touch my child? You are looking down on my cold blood sect. Do you really think that this old man is dying? Zhao Han also had a very frightening nickname. He was called the unparalleled evil lord. Obviously, he was also a very evil and arrogant person. In the past, he had experienced a lot of things and experienced a lot of power. Therefore, he finally reached this step and obtained the status he had today. Immediately, the entire cold blood sect was enveloped by the unparalleled evil sovereign's aura. Everyone was trembling in fear. Even some experts who had already stepped into the realm of supremes were shocked and they felt this aura. It was as if they were carrying a heavy weight. They could not breathe easily at all. Boom! Boom! Two figures flew over from the sky. This is the cold blood sect. A questioning voice came from the sky. Yes, below is the territory of the cold blood sect. You mean, there is a so-called unparalleled evil lord below? These days, there are really all kinds of shameless behavior. There are even people who are trying to ride on my popularity like this. Li Zongjiu was obviously a little unhappy. He did not know where this primitive person came from. He actually dared to use the two words, evil lord. This was very coincidental. You can call him any supremacy, but you can't call him evil lord. Yes, the strength of this unparalleled evil lord back then was. Sigh, let's not talk about it anymore. Su Wangshan thought for a moment. He thought that even a 9th-grade supremacy realm meta beast had been killed by him. No matter how powerful this unparalleled evil lord was in the past, it did not matter. After all, it would become a ruin under Li Zongjiu's hands. A figure directly landed on the square. Su Wangshan did not go down. After all, Su Wangshan was a member of the Mountain Sea Pavilion and was only responsible for leading the way. This grudge was between Li Zongjiu and them. Therefore, Su Wangshan could not interfere, mainly because he did not dare to. No matter which side it was, he could not afford to offend either side. Chapter 1257. A figure floated down in front of everyone. Zhao Han's stooped body immediately exuded an incomparably cold aura. Even the floor beneath his feet was covered in an inconceivable layer of frost. This was the coldness that was released from his body. It was a kind of bone-chilling coldness. The entire cold blood sect was in a rather cold state. Any normal person who stayed in such a place would feel quite uncomfortable. You're the unparalleled evil lord. Li Zongjiu sized up Zhao Han in front of him. He was already so old. From the looks of it, he had probably been lying in a coffin for more than 10 years. Yet, he still wanted to come out and cause trouble. Li Zongjiu couldn't be blamed for this. Who are you? Trespassing into the territory of my cold blood sect. Aren't you afraid of death? Zhao Han glanced at Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu was so young, and he was able to remain calm in front of so many experts. If he was not here to die, then he must have his own abilities. Looks like it's you. You should change your name in the future. That way, I can still spare your life. Li Zongjiu said calmly with his hands behind his back. Then, he actually treated the cold blood sect as his own territory and patrolled back and forth a few times. Everyone stared in shock at this young man who was courting death. Could it be that he was tired of living and came to a place like this just to look for trouble? He actually dared to ask the sect leader to change his name in front of him. It was like someone saying to you, "I don't think your face is good looking. Why don't you change your face? Otherwise, I'll kill you." What was the meaning of this? Could it be that this was a threat? Li Zongjiu specifically came to other people's territory to threaten them. Wasn't this a little too arrogant? Young man, you're quite arrogant. Who is your master? Where is your sect? Tell me, and I can spare your corpse. Zhao Han was different from the others. His realm was quite high, but he couldn't find any flaws in Li Zongjiu. This meant that Li Zongjiu's blood and qi had already reached a very high realm. There were many things that could be faked, but realms and the state of being one with the world were things that could never be faked. "He, you can call me Evil Lord," Li Zongjiu said. In his opinion, his tone was already quite gentle, and he didn't mean to be aggressive. However, when he said this, the people below laughed wildly. It was as if they saw a clown dancing on the stage. Evil Lord, little brat, this is not a place for you to make a scene. In the entire world, only our sovereign is worthy of the title of Evil Overlord. I really don't know where this idiot came from. Evil Lord? I think it's more like Shu Lord. The experts of Cold Blood sect on the ground burst into laughter one after another. They thought that Li Zongjiu clearly had a problem with his brain. Otherwise, how could he say such stupid words and do such a stupid thing? Even Zhao Han's mouth was twitching. He couldn't believe that there was someone in this world who wanted to die so badly. In fact, looking at Li Zongjiu's attitude, it was obvious that he had received a huge blow. To think that he would go crazy in the territory of Cold Blood sect. Is it that funny? Previously, there was someone called Cold Blood Evil Lord who was similar to you guys. He was killed by me with a single sword. Killed by a single sword? Even though the crowd was laughing wildly, they felt as if a strong hand was squeezing their hearts so hard that they couldn't breathe when they heard Li Zongjiu's serious tone. What? This guy is really courting death. This was the reason why the sect master had come out of seclusion. However, Li Zongjiu just had to rub it in and joke about it. Lad, the name of the Grand Elder is not to be sullied by you. Kneel down. Suddenly, someone leaped up from below and slapped out at Li Zongjiu, wanting to break Li Zongjiu's legs. However, Li Zongjiu's figure disappeared from where he was. In the next second, he appeared behind this man. Kneel down, is it? Li Zongjiu's voice came from behind. Hearing this voice, the man felt a chill down his spine. Indeed, his spine was ripped out by Li Zongjiu in the next second. This man was at least in the primitive emperor realm. However, he didn't have any power to resist Li Zongjiu's attack. His body directly knelt on the stage. His upper body had lost the support of his strength and directly fell to the ground without any movement. He was dead. Even if he was an primitive emperor, he wouldn't be able to withstand such brutal treatment. Hence, his body couldn't withstand such injuries and he died immediately. Courting death. Zhao Han realized that Li Zongjiu was clearly here to play with them. Even from the beginning until now, his purpose was to cause trouble. Since Li Zongjiu took the initiative to provoke them, Zhao Han didn't need to worry too much. The moment he raised his palm, hundreds of sharp icicles shot towards Li Zongjiu. Facing this move, Li Zongjiu raised his hand as well. A strong force shot out and shattered all the icicles. Zhao Han's figure pierced through the countless ice shards. He waved a sharp icicle whip in his hand and lashed it towards Li Zongjiu's head. Pa! The whip lashed towards Li Zongjiu, but Li Zongjiu didn't move at all. He reached out his hand and grabbed the whip. Grabbing the whip in his hand, he summoned the black dragon hammer in his right hand and smashed it down. Boom! Immediately, the thunder surged and the power surged out crazily. When this violent power surged out, the frightened Zhao Han hurriedly struck out a few palms, turning them into ice shields to block these surging thunderbolts. Boom, boom, boom. Who would have thought that the lightning energy would go berserk when it came into contact with the ice? It flew in all directions and swept across the boundless area. It directly struck some of the experts who had just come out of seclusion, causing them to be in a state of serious injury. Boom! Be careful. Ah! My leg! The speed and ferocity of the thunderbolts was unexpected. Just the thunder alone could cause such a terrifying effect. The people of the Cold Blood sect also felt the terror of Li Zongjiu's power. Blood freezing heaven and earth. Zhao Han directly stirred up a monstrous cold aura. Wherever the cold aura passed, even the surging thunderbolts were completely frozen. The scene was extremely spectacular. However, Li Zongjiu didn't seem to be affected at all. Let's see how you continue to freeze. The black dragon hammer in his hand suddenly pointed towards the sky. Immediately, dark clouds gathered, and in the next moment, the power of thunder fell from the sky. Boom! Zhao Han naturally didn't have time to freeze this power. He could only escape quickly. A big hole was blasted in the entire territory of the Cold Blood sect. Now that Li Zongjiu's strength had broken through a lot, when he used this move again, the power was even more terrifying. Except for a few people who had life-saving magic treasures, the rest of the people were directly turned into ashes under this lightning. The Cold Blood sect no longer existed. They didn't even have the chance to use the sect's great formation. My blood and sweat. Zhao Han, who was in the air, saw the scene below. He was so angry that his heart was about to explode. The Cold Blood sect was his blood and sweat after all. But it was destroyed today. The robe on his body was also destroyed by the thunder just now. He looked like a scavenger. Sect Master, this kid can't be left alive. My big Cold Blood sect is gone just like that. Junior sister, you died so tragically. Chapter 1258. The crazily surging thunderbolts directly destroyed the mountain gate of the Cold Blood sect. Even the mountains of the untainted land could not withstand the thunderbolts released by Li Zongjiu. Zhao Han's eyes seemed to be filled with a terrifying white fog. His body involuntarily released a chilling aura, causing Zhao Han to seem as though he had turned into a person of ice. Good, very good. I want to see how many lives you have. Zhao Han suddenly formed a long spear with the cold yuan qi in his hand. When the long spear was released, there was a rumbling sound. It even had a feeling that it could destroy the world and freeze the world. Zhao Han immediately waved the long spear in his hand. It was like a frost dragon roaming in his hand. It directly swept towards Li Zongjiu. Boom! Li Zongjiu's figure directly rushed towards the cold light. Facing the cold dragon-like aura, he did not retreat at all. The black dragon in his hand also continuously released a terrifying power. The thunderbolts spread all over his body, directly shattering the surrounding cold air. Rumble. The rumbling sound of thunder spread out in all directions. At this moment, Li Zongjiu's own energy had also gathered to a point. He suddenly threw the black dragon hammer in his hand downwards. Suddenly, the black dragon hammer seemed to have transformed into a hammer of thunder. It directly smashed the frost dragon formed by the long spear. Then, Zhao Han also released countless long spears. As he waved his hand, he continuously released a terrifying power. It seemed to have formed an array of ice spears. It surged forward violently. Buddha's palm. When Li Zongjiu's palm fell, it seemed that there was an extremely terrifying Buddha's pagoda descending from the sky. When they felt the appearance of this power, everyone below, except for Zhao Han, had a change of expression. They immediately fled into the distance. This was because the suppressive power of the Buddha's pagoda had also covered them. The emergence of such power was even more unbearable. Therefore, they could only quickly flee into the distance. However, there were still some people who did not escape so quickly. They were directly suppressed by the Buddha's pagoda. Boom! Boom! Zhao Han was also directly suppressed by a Buddha's pagoda that was at least 1,000 feet tall. However, Zhao Han relied on his powerful strength to resist this power. He did not let his guard down. With his fist, he directly punched towards this force. Boom! Zhao Han's punch also directly blasted the Buddha's pagoda above him into pieces. His body was able to break free. It seemed that he had directly broken free from the binding power. However, soon, another golden light seal fell from the sky. Boom! Looking down from above, there was a huge palm print on the ground that was close to 300 meters wide. And all of this was done by this young man who had appeared directly and boasted shamelessly. Li Zongjiu stretched out his hand and the black dragon hammer appeared in his hand. Once again, the power of thunder gathered on his body. Then, under Li Zongjiu's command, a loud rumble sounded. It directly hit the person in the center of the Buddha's pagoda. Boom! The mountain gate that originally belonged to Cold Blood sect had been easily destroyed. Even the surrounding area had been completely destroyed. Many people were directly killed by Li Zongjiu. There were less than 5 people left in Cold Blood sect. Other than Zhao Han, the rest of them were now in a state of serious injury. Li Zongjiu's figure was above the clouds. At this moment, the power in his hand was faintly condensing. The series of moves just now was a piece of cake for Li Zongjiu. He did not use up any of his strength. In other words, Li Zongjiu had not even used his full strength yet, but all of them had already fallen. It seemed that Li Zongjiu saw that these people were having a hard time resisting, so he stopped to let them rest a little. Otherwise, if they continued to fight, they would all be dead. Zhao Han and the others were completely stunned. Powerful killing moves were used one after another. Zhao Han did not have the slightest ability to fight back. If it was not for the fact that he had recently gained some insights and made a small breakthrough in his cultivation, he would have been completely dead when the second golden palm print fell. His body's defense could not withstand such a terrifying attack. Even now, in the deep pit, the armor on Zhao Han's body had been directly forced out of his body and was in a broken state. It fell to the ground. Obviously, in the battle just now, there was no way it could withstand such power. My dragon cloud armor. When Zhao Han saw that his inner armor was broken, his heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. This was an inner armor that he had paid a great price to obtain. At least, it could save his life. However, who knew that it would be broken under Li Zongjiu's attack? Therefore, Zhao Han was extremely heartbroken. He did not know where the person in front of him came from. What kind of grudge did the person have with his Cold Blood sect that made him want to be so ruthless? Could it be because of this name? Just because the other person's nickname was a little similar to yours, you wanted to kill him to silence him? In the eyes of outsiders, this was a little too overbearing. Such behavior was quite shameful. This was bullying the weak. Who are you? What grudge does my Cold Blood sect have with you? Zhao Han let out an angry roar. At this moment, he did not know why Li Zongjiu did not continue to attack. Perhaps it was because he saw that his Cold Blood sect had been defeated to such an extent, so he was not in a hurry. He actually did not put Zhao Han in his eyes. He could even feel that in Li Zongjiu's eyes, the people of Cold Blood sect were just a bunch of clowns. Didn't I say that you can just call me Evil Lord? Li Zongjiu said indifferently. As for why I am doing this to you, I have already said that you can just change your name and everything will be fine. When he heard Li Zongjiu's words, Zhao Han could no longer hold it in. He directly spat out a mouthful of blood. One must know that under Li Zongjiu's multiple attacks, he had been holding back this mouthful of blood in his body. Once he spat out this mouthful of blood, it was equivalent to breaking his cultivation. Now, just because he heard Li Zongjiu's words, he could no longer hold it in. Because of this name, his cold blood sect's mountain gate was destroyed to such an extent. So many disciples of his cold blood sect were now buried under the ruins, sacrificed in vain. Just like that, they disappeared without a trace. It was all because of this damned name. I'll change it. It's just a name. What do you want me to change it to? I won't be called Unparalleled Evil Lord from now on. You can stop now. As if he had made a huge decision, Zhao Han raised his head and said to Li Zongjiu, who was in the sky. Li Zongjiu looked at Zhao Han in surprise when he heard this. You're quite sensible. Perhaps even Li Zongjiu himself did not expect this guy to have such high awareness. Although they had lost so many disciples and even the sect had been destroyed, he, Zhao Han, was still alive. Just admit defeat. Admitting defeat was the best solution. As long as he could keep his life, so what if he admitted a mistake? Changing his name would not kill him. But if he did not change his name, he might still die. Whatever. Am I such a domineering person? Since you want to change your name, I'll let you go for now. Li Zongjiu actually retracted all his aura and did not intend to continue attacking. After hearing Li Zongjiu's words, the rest of the cold blood sect members widened their eyes. Was it really done just like that? Was it really done just by changing the name and giving up the title of evil dominator? It seemed like life came too easily. Therefore, they were extremely shocked. From now on, in the Eldritch land, there will only be one evil lord. It's you. Zhao Han said in a deep voice. Obviously, he was sincerely giving up his name and no longer competing with Li Zongjiu. Even Zhao Han felt quite aggrieved. It was just a name, and this name was definitely first come, first served. You don't allow others to call you domineering. What should they say about you? Chapter 1259. At this moment, Zhao Han had already admitted defeat. And Li Zongjiu was willing to let this guy go. Su Wangshan, who was still hiding in the sky, naturally witnessed the whole process. It was too overbearing. But from Li Zongjiu's point of view, Li Zongjiu had already tried to persuade these people at the beginning, but not only did they not listen, but they also kept laughing at Li Zongjiu. If it were any other expert, they wouldn't have a good ending. They wouldn't be happy either. The only difference was that Li Zongjiu's performance at the beginning wasn't so terrifying. Moreover, these people did not know Li Zongjiu, so they did not take Li Zongjiu's words seriously. Now, after Li Zongjiu showed his great strength, these people chose to admit defeat. This was normal. If they had known that Li Zongjiu was such a terrifying expert from the beginning, there would not have been so many problems later. Wasn't it just a matter of changing a name? In this untainted land, as long as one could survive, there was nothing that could not be discussed. Just when Su Wangshan and the others thought that this was the end of the matter, Li Zongjiu suddenly frowned again. No, I think you don't know me, so you dare to be so arrogant. Since I came to the untainted land, my purpose is to let everyone know me, right? Li Zongjiu asked in an incomparably amiable manner. It even made people think that Li Zongjiu was really asking for their opinions. However, Zhao Han clearly felt the killing intent from Li Zongjiu, which was completely undisguised. He did not want to let these people go at all. Since I want to make a name for myself, I still need your help. Help me die. As Li Zongjiu's voice fell, the black dragon hammer in his hand swung out again. Immediately, Zhao Han and the others were drowned in the endless lightning and were easily swallowed up. At this moment, Zhao Han and the others did not have enough strength to resist Li Zongjiu's attack. Li Zongjiu did not seem tired at all. When he attacked, no one knew how long he could last. There was simply no chance of winning. In the end, they could only shout loudly before they died. You broke your promise. With that one sentence, the entire Cold Blood sect became incomparably quiet. Basically, those who showed their faces just now were all killed. Li Zongjiu raised his finger. Suddenly, dozens of storage rings from below flew up. Li Zongjiu could be said to have done this kind of thing a lot in his previous life. At this moment, he collected all these storage rings. In the future, he might not be able to find any treasures in them. Therefore, Li Zongjiu would not let any of them go. Kill them all. If Su Wangshan had not seen it with his own eyes today, he would not have believed that such a thing could really happen. Even a powerful sect like the Cold Blood sect could not withstand Li Zongjiu's attack. In less than an hour, such a huge sect was easily destroyed. Everything was burned to the ground, destroyed overnight. A sect fell just like that. Even though there were still some people from Cold Blood sect who had managed to escape because they were outside the sect, it was likely that they wouldn't know what had happened when they returned to the sect. Why did the sect disappear without a trace the moment they returned? It was also impossible for them to imagine that the destruction of Cold Blood sect was due to the sect leader's nickname. Even until their deaths, they would not be able to find out the truth. Only Su Wangshan, who had personally witnessed this scene, knew the truth. It seemed that after today, the name of Li Zongjiu as Evil Lord would definitely spread in the untainted land. Everyone would know clearly about the terrifying strength of the Evil Lord. The person who would spread the word was naturally Su Wangshan. Of course, there were also those people who had spread the word. These people would definitely know that the destruction of the Cold Blood sect was related to the Evil Lord. From then on, there would be one more person in the untainted land who would cause people to tremble in fear. Evil Lord. Li Zongjiu. Sometimes, if you wanted to make a name for yourself, you didn't need to do too many things at all. You only needed to do one thing, and such a thing was enough to shake the world. It was shocking. Let's go. Li Zongjiu's figure returned to Su Wangshan's side. This made Su Wangshan stunned for a moment. Where to? Could it be that he wanted to go to the Mountain Sea Pavilion? Fuck, in our Mountain Sea Pavilion, there is no one called Evil Lord. We don't have many people. Don't mess around. When Su Wangshan heard Li Zongjiu's words, his heart suddenly thumped. Could it be that Li Zongjiu wanted to go to all the sects in the untainted land and kill all the people called Evil Lord? If Li Zongjiu were to find a random excuse to wipe out everyone from the Mountain Sea Pavilion, wouldn't that be terrible? No matter what, he couldn't bring Li Zongjiu into the Mountain Sea Pavilion. What are you talking about? The people of the Cold Blood sect offended me before. Of course, they have to pay the price. And those people who escaped just now, they might join forces to deal with me. Of course, I have to destroy the Cold Blood sect and let them know the consequences of provoking me. Otherwise, if they join forces, I'll have to kill them all again. How troublesome. Li Zongjiu said. It seemed that what happened just now was just an excuse. Who knew that he would come to the Cold Blood sect to avoid trouble? He was afraid that those people would continue to provoke Li Zongjiu. The thoughts of an expert could not be guessed by the thoughts of an ordinary person. Now, Su Wangshan understood completely. Su Wangshan could only sigh in his heart as he glanced at the Cold Blood sect that had been reduced to a pile of ruins. That's good. You scared me. Speaking of which, I still have 2 Great Desolation Origin Stones. I'll give them to you when I return to the sect. Su Wangshan breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. As long as they were not here to destroy the Mountain Sea Pavilion, everything was fine. Fortunately, he had never offended Li Zongjiu. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Perhaps the Mountain Sea Pavilion would have been destroyed by Li Zongjiu by now. Su Wangshan did not think too much about it. He was still injured, so he needed a quiet place to recuperate. Besides, he also needed to take out the sky-penetrating mirror that he had obtained from the Compassionate Cloud Saints sect to study. The two of them headed directly towards the direction of the Mountain Sea Pavilion. The commotion of the Cold Blood sect quickly spread out. The surrounding sects also sent their disciples to investigate. Some experts even specially teleported over. When they arrived at the ruins of the Cold Blood sect, everyone could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. What kind of grudge did the sect have to suffer such a calamity? In addition to the Compassionate Cloud Saint sect that was destroyed today, two of the Great Desolation sects had been destroyed in a single day. Nobody knew how long it would take for them to develop again. It must be him. It must be the evil lord. The evil lord did it. In the sky, among the crowd that was looking at the ruins of the Cold Blood sect, an old man suddenly became excited. This person was the deputy sect master of the Vast Sea sect, Lu Pingfeng. Chapter 1260. After Lu Pingfeng escaped from Li Zongjiu's evil clutches, he returned to his own sect without hesitation. The outside world was too dangerous. If he was not careful, he would be annihilated. Therefore, Lu Pingfeng was quite shocked. He immediately sent someone to check on the Cold Blood sect. One must know that the great elder of the Cold Blood sect was dead. Moreover, the great elder was the son of the sect master. A father-son duo like this was very rare. It wasn't easy for them to work together. Originally, this father-son duo from the Cold Blood sect was already quite powerful. Now that Zhao Leng had died, Zhao Han definitely wouldn't be able to sit still. Of course, Lu Pingfeng had to seize this opportunity. Sure enough, Lu Pingfeng managed to get some important news. However, the person who sent the message did not see clearly who was the culprit. When he heard that there was a commotion here, he immediately summoned Lu Pingfeng. After that, when Lu Pingfeng returned and saw this scene, he clearly understood that it must have been done by the legendary evil dominator. Only this evil dominator could do such a thing. Previously, when he heard that someone killed the three old men of the Compassionate Cloud Saint sect, it was quite shocking. After all, although the three old men were very ambitious, they did not have much ability. However, the three of them worked very hard. They could be considered as role models in the cultivation world of the untainted land. Unfortunately, their talent was too poor. Therefore, they often became the topic of conversation after meals. Now, they were killed. These people did not do anything outrageous, but they were suddenly killed without any reason. Naturally, the Compassionate Cloud Saint sect was directly destroyed. It was said that the formation was also destroyed. Therefore, it would not take long for the mountain gate to be flattened by the giant beasts of the untainted land. Today, the Cold Blood sect had been beaten to such a state by someone. Everything that had happened before and after was completely unexpected. Who exactly did this? Why did they do this? Could it be that some great devil had appeared? Lu Pingfeng, just now, who did you say did this? Someone heard Lu Pingfeng's words and immediately went forward to ask. Obviously, Lu Pingfeng knew something. It was done by someone called Evil Lord. Not only that, this Evil Lord killed Zhao Leng of the Blood Frost sect with a single sword strike. When they heard about Evil Lord's terrifying strength, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Killing Zhao Leng with a single sword strike was indeed a little terrifying. Is this true? Someone asked directly. It wasn't that they didn't believe Lu Pingfeng's words. It was just that this matter was too shocking and they needed to verify it again. I saw it with my own eyes. Lu Pingfeng said. Only then did the crowd understand that a great demon had appeared in the untainted land. And this demon loved to destroy sects in this way. We must unite and capture this evil lord. Otherwise, who knows what this evil lord will do? Someone suggested. However, this suggestion was quickly drowned out because no one was willing to be the leader. No one was willing to rush to the front. Otherwise, the person who rushed to the front would naturally be the one who died the quickest. The people at the back saw that the situation wasn't good, so it wasn't difficult for them to escape. However, the leader of the group would definitely die. Facing this kind of responsibility and pressure, naturally no one was willing to do so. Moreover, the most important thing was that this evil dominator didn't provoke them. It wouldn't be too late for them to come back when he really killed them. This principle was the same no matter where one went. It wouldn't change the slightest. In the face of the miserable state of the Blood Frost sect, the crowd only observed carefully and then left directly. They could only mourn for this. Although they were all in the untainted land and more or less had a competitive relationship with each other, they had been neighbors for many years. In any case, they had been neighbors for so many years and had feelings for each other. However, it was limited to this. Li Zongjiu and Su Wangshan directly flew for hundreds of thousands of miles. They were chased by several giant beasts of the untainted land. However, they were all chased away by Li Zongjiu. They had accidentally intruded into their territory. Although Su Wangshan had reminded Li Zongjiu and suggested to take a detour so that there wouldn't be so many problems, it would at least save a lot of trouble. However, with Li Zongjiu's temper, he wouldn't give way to these untainted primordial beasts. After all, some of these untainted primordial beasts were quite powerful. Their strength was not inferior to the dark mysterious eagle. In the end, Li Zongjiu helplessly called out to them. Ahem, let's take a detour. There's no hurry. Li Zongjiu hadn't reached the level where he could move unhindered in the untainted land. If he had the cultivation of his previous life, it would be possible. However, his current state was still lacking. If there were more untainted primordial beasts of that level, they wouldn't be able to withstand it. It should be known that these untainted primordial beasts knew how to call their companions. If they were called together and gathered together, the problem would be even more serious. After taking a detour, it took them half a day to arrive at the Mountain Sea Pavilion. Along the way, Su Wangshan also witnessed Li Zongjiu's terrifying strength. Even several untainted primordial beasts were caught and beaten by Li Zongjiu along the way. Su Wangshan was quite surprised and extremely shocked by this. Even taking a detour was a very normal thing. In Su Wangshan's view, it was not a big deal. The location of the Mountain Sea Pavilion was considered the border of the middle area of the untainted land. It had already left the green forest. Looking around, there were endless wild mountains and forests. Any mountain peak was thousands of feet high. There were snowy mountains, volcanoes, and some mines filled with mineral resources. Even gold and purple gold mines were relatively worthless in this place. Only the loads of yuan stones were slightly more valuable. The Mountain Sea Pavilion was located at the top of a mountain that was nearly 2,000 feet high. The whole mountain was also covered by the formation of the Mountain Sea Pavilion. Within this formation, it was enough to disperse the surrounding untainted primordial beasts and prevent them from discovering the location of the Mountain Sea Pavilion. Such an effect was due to the powerful formations created by the ancestors of the Mountain Sea Pavilion. Not to mention that ordinary people from the outside world found the untainted land, even if they did, they couldn't climb the mountain gate of the Mountain Sea Pavilion. Therefore, the situation here and the harsh environment were also a great test for Kun Erisher, who had entered the untainted land. It would probably take him 8 to 10 years to reach the Yunding Heavenly Palace. Chapter 1261. Li Zongjiu originally wanted to help Kun Erisher. But on second thought, if he were to help Kun Erisher now, the gap between Kun Erisher and Shueiyue would still be huge even in the cloud-top sky palace. If Kun Erisher couldn't break through on his own, he would only be left further and further behind by Shueiyue. Only by continuously climbing up would he have a chance to succeed. The location of your sect is pretty good. Li Zongjiu and Su Wangshan's figures landed. In his previous life, Li Zongjiu didn't get too involved with the sects of the untainted land and didn't have much interaction with them. He also rarely visited the sects of the untainted land. Some of them were even lone wolves, roaming the depths of the untainted land. But if he didn't remember wrongly, Dou Ling, Er's family should be one of the hidden aristocratic families in the untainted land. Her background was even greater than that of the Eastern medicine family of the Shengyan dynasty. One had to know that the Howling Moon Wolf King was still in Dou Ling, Er's hands. He didn't know if he would be able to meet Dou Ling, or this time in the untainted land. Originally, this lass was helping to guard the White Deer Mansion, but she actually escaped with the Howling Moon Wolf King. Wouldn't Li Zongjiu lose everything? After finding Qi Yanran, he would have to make a trip to Dou Ling, Er's family. At the very least, he had to get the Howling Moon Wolf King back. Huh, you're too kind. Coincidentally, there's a primordial stone vein below, so the primordial qi in my mountain sea pavilion is several times denser than the outside world. It's also thanks to this formation that the primordial qi won't disperse. Su Wangshan said. At the same time, he was carefully sizing up Li Zongjiu to see if Li Zongjiu had any ideas about the primordial stone vein in his hands. If that was the case, he would be inviting a wolf into his house. But fortunately, Li Zongjiu didn't seem to have much interest in this thing. Find me an open space. Li Zongjiu said. Other than my 3 halls, the rest of the place should be empty. At this moment, the two of them were standing on an extremely vast platform. After the mountain peak was flattened, there was at least a few hundred feet of open space. All right then. Since he had said so, Li Zongjiu no longer held back and immediately released the soul-burning array in his hand. Boom! Boom! The 8 burning soul pillars appeared in front of He Xian. When the pillars landed on the ground, they immediately gave He Xian a huge pressure. Although he had also been roasted in the fiery hell, He Xian was much more relaxed. After all, the world within the fiery hell had yet to fully take shape. Hence, the burning soul array still felt like it was floating in midair. When the 8 burning soul pillars landed on the ground, they felt like they had taken root. Instantly, their power became even more vigorous. Boom! Inside the soul-burning array, He Xian was also extremely furious. Brat, you're digging your own grave. Once I get out, you'll die. At this moment, He Xian was just being stubborn. Li Zongjiu looked at He Xian, who was trapped in the array, with disdain. Do you think that I don't have the ability to refine you? Immediately, Li Zongjiu smiled coldly. When He Xian saw Li Zongjiu's smile, he could not help but be shocked. In the next moment, he did not know what kind of array Li Zongjiu used. He directly drew the energy of the primordial stone mine from the bottom of the mountain and instantly added it to the soul-burning array. It was as if a huge gust of wind was poured into a dense furnace. Immediately, the flames burned even more vigorously. The power of the soul-burning array also became stronger. Roar! The emergence of this power caused He Xian, who was in the soul-burning array, to scream in pain. This was because this power had increased by at least 5 times. Correspondingly, the time needed to refine He Xian was shortened. At this level, He Xian would definitely be refined in less than 5 years. More importantly, He Xian would also have to bear the heat of this energy all the time for 5 years. This also caused He Xian great pain. You're despicable and shameless. If you have the ability, let's fight one-on-one. He Xian roared angrily. Su Wangshan, who was watching from the side, was also quite distressed. Mainly, he was distressed about the energy of his primordial stone mine. If he continued to draw the energy like this, it would not take long for his primordial stone mine to be completely drained. However, Su Wangshan was not in a position to say anything. After all, Li Zong was very powerful. What could he do? Some of the disciples in the Mountain Sea Pavilion also sensed the commotion outside and immediately flew out. When they saw their sect master and the young man standing in front of the 8 strange pillars, they were quite surprised to see such a formation. It seemed that the pillars formed a formation, and there was a very powerful primordial beast trapped in this formation. However, the formation was full of black gas, so the appearance of the primordial beast could not be seen clearly. "Welcome back to the sect, Lord. Welcome back to the sect, Lord." The leader was a handsome young man with double eyelids, big eyes, and a high nose bridge. The corners of his mouth involuntarily curled upwards, seemingly revealing a sense of confidence and arrogance. It was as if no one in the world was more handsome than him. This person was also the chief disciple of the Mountain Sea Pavilion. He was also the personal disciple of Gu Xingyun, who was killed before. Gu Xingyun couldn't take the position of the sect lord himself, so he wanted to train a disciple to take the position of the sect lord. Even this young man named Jin Tian kept telling him that he was the future sect lord of the Mountain Sea Pavilion. "Well, come and greet Senior Evil Lord." Because of Gu Xingyun's matter, Su Wangshan did not have a good impression of Jin Tian. After all, Gu Xingyun had been plotting against the Mountain Sea Pavilion and had directly colluded with outsiders. This was a big taboo for the Mountain Sea Pavilion. It would be best if Jin Tian was not involved. However, if Jin Tian was involved in this matter, he would definitely be in big trouble. Senior Evil Lord? Who was Jin Tian? He was the dignified chief disciple of the Mountain Sea Pavilion. In the future, he would become the pavilion master of the Mountain Sea Pavilion. Among the young talents of the untainted land, Jin Tian would definitely have a place, and even a very high position. However, Li Zongjiu in front of him looked quite young, many years younger than Jin Tian. What kind of ability could he have at such a young age? Why did Jin Tian have to respectfully address him as a senior? This made Jin Tian somewhat unwilling, but in front of so many people, he naturally had to give face to his lord. "I'm Jin Tian, the chief disciple of the Mountain Sea Pavilion. Greetings to Senior Evil Lord. May I know which sect you are from, Senior Evil Lord?" Chapter 1262. Jin Tian believed that with his talent and his current status, although he was only a disciple, it was enough to be compared with the elders. After all, the elders of Mountain Sea Pavilion were very polite when they saw Jin Tian. This also caused Jin Tian to have the illusion that he was on equal footing with the elders of other sections. Therefore, in front of Li Zongjiu, Jin Tian actually dared to say such presumptuous words. Presumptuous. How dare you talk to the evil lord like that? Su Wangshan immediately angrily rebuked. He couldn't wait to directly smash Jin Tian's head. He didn't know who gave Jin Tian the courage to be so arrogant. Even Su Wangshan didn't dare to be presumptuous in front of Li Zongjiu. However, this kid was clearly provoking Li Zongjiu just now. There was really such a person who was not afraid of death. "Your name is Jin Tian, right? Then stay here and help me keep an eye on this guy. When this guy is willing to tell me who is behind him, you can come and call me," Li Zongjiu directly said. Jin Tian was first scolded by his own sect master, and now this Li Zongjiu actually dared to order him. He simply didn't put Jin Tian in his eyes. "I, Jin Tian, am the chief disciple of Mountain Sea Pavilion. I told you to stay here and keep an eye on him. Why are you talking so much nonsense?" Su Wangshan suddenly frowned and said. This Jin Tian really talked a lot of nonsense. Did he think that he was someone important? He actually dared to be arrogant in front of Li Zongjiu. Yes, sect master, since even Su Wangshan had spoken, Jin Tian naturally didn't dare to say anything. He couldn't possibly disobey the sect master. If that was the case, Jin Tian would definitely be expelled from the sect. In front of Su Wangshan, he didn't have the slightest qualification to be arrogant. Li Zongjiu directly walked in front of this chief disciple, and this chief disciple could only obediently stay here and watch the situation of the array in front of him. Is this person trapped inside? Jin Tian was also quite curious as he looked ahead, but he saw that the inside of the burning soul array was also pitch black. When Jin Tian got closer and closer, suddenly, it seemed as if a terrifying giant beast was about to come out of the burning soul array, and it fiercely rushed out, directly scaring Jin Tian. Fuck! Scared me to death. Jin Tian was frightened by the aura of the dark Xian hawk. It was as if the dark Xian hawk was here to take his life. Just a glance from it was enough to make Jin Tian feel like his soul was about to scatter. How can such a terrifying thing be trapped here? You guys, stay here with me, don't go anywhere. If Jin Tian was left alone to guard this place, he would definitely be terrified. Immediately, Jin Tian also quickly grabbed a few people to guard the soul-burning array. However, these people were also as timid as mice. Each of them used various excuses and directly ran away in the blink of an eye. A group of disappointing things. Seeing the cowardly appearance of these people, Jin Tian was quite angry. Although he also wanted to leave, but once the sect lord blamed him, then he would be miserable. The sect lord's order couldn't be easily disobeyed. In the end, Jin Tian could only hide in the distance while shivering. The dark mysterious eagle that was trapped in the soul-burning array sneered coldly in its heart when it saw Jin Tian's frightened appearance. It seemed to have thought of something, and its figure once again disappeared into the darkness, making Jin Tian unable to see anything clearly. Li Zongjiu and Su Wangshan walked into the main hall of the Mountain Sea Pavilion. After waiting for a while, Su Wangshan also went to take the primeval raw stone for Li Zongjiu. With these two primeval raw stones, the King of Fire's recovery speed would be faster, greatly reducing the time needed. In addition to these primeval raw stones, there is also this sky-penetrating mirror. So many things happened this time because of this sky-penetrating mirror. Senior Evil Lord, are you interested in studying it together? Su Wangshan invited. It was precisely because of this sky-penetrating mirror that he asked Li Zongjiu to help him. Otherwise, this sky-penetrating mirror would not be able to reach Su Wangshan's hands. In fact, the reason why Su Wangshan attacked the sky-penetrating mirror was that Su Wangshan himself also knew the secret of this sky-penetrating mirror. Su Wangshan also had a certain understanding of this sky-penetrating mirror. I'm not interested. If you have obtained something from this sacred martial realm, you can show it to me. Li Zongjiu said. To be honest, there were many things in this world that were worth studying. It was not clear whether he would be able to find out anything in the end. Therefore, Li Zongjiu would not waste so much time. After all, Li Zongjiu still had a lot of things to do. Since Li Zongjiu was not interested, Su Wangshan was relieved. After all, Li Zongjiu was very strong. If he studied this sky-penetrating mirror together with him, coupled with his lack of knowledge, the progress of the research might be delayed. It was best to leave the professional things to the professionals. Immediately, Li Zongjiu went to the side happily and catalyzed the primeval raw stone first. I'll stay in your Mountain Sea Pavilion for a few days. Li Zongjiu said. It's my pleasure. Feel free to stay. If you need anything, just tell me at any time. Su Wangshan was also pleasantly surprised. It was always good to have such an expert live in the Mountain Sea Pavilion. After all, it was not safe every day in the untainted land. In addition, Li Zongjiu was in the Mountain Sea Pavilion, so he could communicate more with him. If he could persuade Li Zongjiu to take care of him in the Mountain Sea Pavilion, it would be a great deal. Su Wangshan was also surprised. Li Zongjiu was also arranged to live in a very unique courtyard. However, Li Zongjiu summoned the matchless sword and refined the primeval raw stone without stopping. The power of the unparalleled sword was gradually being released at this moment. It attracted the emergence of dark clouds in the sky and gathered on the mountain top of the Mountain Sea Pavilion. It made people think that something terrible was about to be born. When Su Wangshan saw this scene, he could not help but sigh. He really deserved to be called a top expert. Just a daily practice could cause such a big movement. How could people live? The area within tens of thousands of miles was covered with yellow sand. The matchless sword in Li Zongjiu's hand released a powerful aura, which almost caused a sandstorm of tens of thousands of miles. Jin Tian, who was in charge of guarding the burning soul array, was also shocked when he saw such a huge fluctuation suddenly formed above the mountain sea pavilion. He quickly sent someone to investigate the situation, and was informed that the senior evil venerable was in the middle of cultivating, and had caused this disturbance. Damn, what kind of practice can cause such a big movement? Jin Tian couldn't believe it himself. Even if he tried his best, it was impossible for him to create such a terrifying commotion in the morning. Indeed, Jin Tian was thoroughly shocked. No wonder the sect master was so cautious around that kid. His strength was not simple at all. This evil lord, where did he come from? He is even more powerful than me. In the courtyard, there was also energy gathering on the matchless sword. The figure of the King of Fire could be seen vaguely. At least, he could get out of the world of the matchless sword. Seeing this change, Li Zongjiu heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. At least he had accomplished one of his goals. The dark mysterious eagle is in the 9th grade sovereign realm. Being able to mobilize a 9th grade sovereign realm origin beast means that its strength is not weak. But according to Su Wangshan, even the top 3 primitive sects could not reach such a level. It must be someone else. Li Zongjiu was also thinking about this matter. It seemed that there were more terrifying existences in the primitive land. Perhaps, the dark mysterious eagle was following the orders of the sacred martial realm. I need to make a breakthrough soon. I have been stuck at this level for some time. Since Su Wangshan had said that Li Zongjiu could let him know if he needed anything, Li Zongjiu would not stand on ceremony. He directly asked for some 8th grade medicinal herbs from Su Wangshan's treasury. There were even some 9th grade medicinal herbs. After all, there were too many resources in the primitive land. As long as one had enough strength, there was basically nothing that could not be obtained. I still lack one medicinal herb, the Underworld Enlightenment Leaf. Chapter 1263. Underworld Leaf. The growing environment of this plant could not be described as harsh. It could only be found in the Netherworld Canyon, one of the top 10 forbidden areas of the Untainted Land. Originally, the Untainted Land was already a forbidden area for cultivators. Now, it was a forbidden area within a forbidden area. It could be seen that the degree of danger was not something that could be imagined just by imagination. The reason he was in such a hurry to increase his strength and the unparalleled sword was because he wanted to find the location of the Sparrow God Palace. There was no doubt that if he wanted to come into contact with such a hidden sect, it was impossible to rely on reason alone. He had to make a move. Therefore, he needed to make sufficient preparations. You really want to go to the Netherworld Canyon? Hearing Li Zongjiu's words, Su Wangshan was completely convinced. Could it be that after these people's cultivation reached a high level, they would think of different ways to kill themselves earlier every day? What kind of place was the Netherworld Canyon? Those who had the courage to come to the Untainted Land might not have the courage to come within 1,000 feet of the Netherworld Canyon. It was said that even the strongest cultivators could easily go crazy in the Netherworld Canyon. He had inexplicably turned into a madman. This matter was quite shocking. Moreover, this theory was proven to work every time. No matter who came, their end would be the same. Many sects had sent their experts to try it. Thus, they were clearly aware that they could not rashly enter the Nether Canyon. Moreover, it had been directly listed as a forbidden area. It was even to the extent that the area within 10,000 feet was a dangerous area. Only by retreating 10,000 feet away from this area would they not encounter any problems and be able to preserve their lives. Before I come back, keep an eye on the soul-burning formation. Li Zongjiu immediately said. Su Wangshan could not help but worry. I say, if something bad happens to you, this formation will be fine, right? Su Wangshan was worried. If Li Zongjiu was killed by someone, this thing would be directly damaged. Once the formation was broken, who would be able to stop the dark mysterious eagle? At that time, all the people of the Mountain Sea Pavilion would be killed. From the looks of it, the dark black eagle didn't seem to be a very amiable person. Who knows what might happen? However, Li Zongjiu did not answer Su Wangshan's question, because Li Zongjiu had already disappeared and appeared far away. Nobody knew how big the untainted land was, but one could see all kinds of landforms in the untainted land. Everything one wanted to see could be seen here. There were even some places that were extremely breathtaking. However, under such places, there were often bone-chilling murderous intents. Netherworld Canyon. At this moment, the sky was still brightly lit. However, as they approached the Nether Canyon, the sky began to darken. Layers of dark clouds had already appeared in the sky ahead. Layer upon layer, it gave off an extremely heavy feeling of pressure. It was simply impossible to breathe. Just by looking at the cloud environment, one could tell that there must be some kind of terrifying danger in it. No one would be willing to enter the Netherworld Canyon. However, Li Zongjiu did not hesitate and directly plunged into the Netherworld Canyon. As his figure moved, he immediately appeared in the Netherworld Canyon. Within the range of 1,000 feet, a heavy oppressive feeling had already spread to Li Zongjiu's body. It was as if a giant was stepping on Li Zongjiu's chest. The golden dragon true spirit in his body also mobilized and released a protective golden light on his body, ensuring that Li Zongjiu could move normally during this process. Boom! When he was less than 100 feet away from the Netherworld Canyon, Li Zongjiu was also forced to land. The stone under his feet had a black ink-like feeling. When he stepped on it, he felt that it was greasy. It was even directly stuck to the soles of his feet, making it difficult for him to lift his feet from it. Li Zongjiu did not dare to be careless. Holding the unparalleled sword in his hand, a golden light flashed in his eyes. Immediately, the pressure on his body was reduced by a lot. Although walking forward was a little slow, it could ensure his own safety. Otherwise, if he rushed and rashly in such a flying state, he would definitely encounter danger. Once he encountered it, it would be difficult to carry out an effective defense. The reason why the Netherworld Canyon was famous far and wide was because there was a group of extremely terrifying aboriginals in the Netherworld Canyon. Those who had seen them were basically dead. However, according to some extremely small number of stars, the people in the outside world were used to calling them the Netherworld Night Devils. These Netherworld Night Devils had sharp bone claws and moved quickly. Moreover, there was a large number of them. They occupied the caves in the cliffs on both sides. When these Netherworld Night Devils moved, it was like a black storm. Moreover, these Netherworld Night Devils had sharp bone claws that could easily penetrate the defense of a Supreme Being expert. Perhaps one or two of them could withstand it. However, if there were hundreds or even thousands of them attacking at the same time, it would be extremely terrifying. Even if one had a top-notch defensive armor, they might not be able to guarantee that they would die in one piece. On the cliff not far ahead, the Netherworld Night Devils had already sensed the aura of Li Zongjiu's arrival. What followed was an extremely terrifying vibration. Immediately, a terrifying aura rushed towards Li Zongjiu. Boom! Li Zongjiu raised the unparalleled sword in his hand. Before he even got close, he already felt an extremely strong sense of fear. Not only did these Netherworld Night Devils have powerful offensive power, but they also had a certain level of bewitching sound. If a person with a weak mind was hit by these bewitching voices, he would definitely fall into a state of absent-mindedness and truly lose himself. Then, they would be easily torn apart by these Netherworld Night Devils. Boom! These Netherworld Night Devils easily pierced through Li Zongjiu's body. Rumble! A series of Netherworld Night Devils rushed out, but they directly pierced through Li Zongjiu's body. It turned out that this was just a shadow left behind by Li Zongjiu. For ordinary people, these netherworld night devils were extremely terrifying killers. However, Li Zongjiu had already dealt with these netherworld night devils countless times. Now, he only needed to use a little trick to play these netherworld night devils. Li Zongjiu caught a netherworld night devil that was alone. Before it could break free, he directly pierced it with his sword. He sprinkled the netherworld night devil's blood on his body. Then, he swaggered in the netherworld canyon. The surrounding netherworld night devils acted as if they had never seen Li Zongjiu before. Performing this move was not so simple. In addition to the blood, one also needed to release mental energy to cover their aura. At the same time, they also needed to use mental energy to create a kind of fluctuation similar to the netherworld night devil's body. It was easy to dodge. In fact, these netherworld night devils were like blind people. They all relied on this mental fluctuation to find the existence of the enemy. As long as this fluctuation came close, they would be able to quickly discover it. Once he was dragged into the cave by these netherworld night devils, everything would be over. Such a terrifying netherworld night devil swayed by Li Zongjiu. If it was someone else, they would be unable to help but feel fear. Even if they had a way to dodge, they might not be able to survive until the end. Li Zongjiu even released his mental energy and began to search for the underworld dark leaf in the vicinity. Found it. A picture suddenly appeared in Li Zongjiu's mind. The underworld dark leaf was hidden in the depths of a cave in front of him. However, this cave made Li Zongjiu quite troubled. There was a netherworld night devil king in this cave. Chapter 1264. Ordinary Hades night devils would automatically be deceived, and even this Hades night devil king was in a state of deep sleep. However, once Li Zongjiu approached, this Hades night devil king would be awakened. Any Hades night devil king had the realm of an 8th grade sovereign. Once they attacked, it would definitely be earth-shattering. At that time, Li Zongjiu might not be able to get out alive. During the battle, if there was the slightest abnormality in Li Zongjiu's mental strength, these Hades night devils would definitely detect it and attack him without hesitation. Whoosh! Li Zongjiu leaped and landed on the mountain wall. It was extremely dark inside, but it could not stop Li Zongjiu's footsteps. No matter how dangerous the situation was, he had to go down. With this underworld leaf, Li Zongjiu could refine a 9th grade elixir, the 9 Nether elixir. After consuming it, one would be able to resonate with the heavens and earth 9 times during cultivation. Moreover, each time would be stronger than the previous time. Usually, it was an elixir that experts would only consume when they were breaking through a major bottleneck. With the help of the 9 times, one's strength would be able to break through the current limit. However, Li Zongjiu only wanted to use it for daily consumption. It was a little too extravagant. As his figure disappeared into the cave, the surrounding smell must be quite heavy. Therefore, Li Zongjiu had long held his breath and blocked his sense of smell. The deeper he went into the cave, the more spacious it became. The Hades night devils outside were still circling around, because the few fake doppelgangers that Li Zongjiu had just thrown out were enough to keep these Hades night devils busy for a while. Once they sensed the aura of other creatures, these Hades night devils would become extremely excited, making it difficult for people to resist. It's actually right next to the Hades night devil king's lair. Li Zongjiu saw the 10,000 underworld leaf growing beside the netherworld night devil king. At this moment, the netherworld night devil king had wrapped itself into a ball. Its wings were in front of its body, protecting the body under the wings. Not even its head was exposed. The underworld leaf only had 1 leaf, but it would take at least 10,000 years for it to grow. The untainted land had existed for a long time. According to Li Zongjiu's observation, the underworld leaf in front of him was at least 100,000 years old. What a good thing. Li Zongjiu set up an array around the cave, using the highest grade primordial stones to set up the array. Then, Li Zongjiu also took out the peerless sword. There was no way to hide, so he could only fight. Boom! When Li Zongjiu circulated his primordial energy and slashed at the Netherworld Night Devil King in front of him, the Netherworld Night Devil King opened its eyes in the darkness and flapped its wings forward. Boom! An extremely terrifying force directly bombarded Li Zongjiu's body, but Li Zongjiu blocked it. With a single slash of the sword, the terrifying sword aura continued to sweep forward. Boom! When the sword slashed forward, there was an extremely terrifying vibration. The rocks above the mountain seemed to have fallen down at this moment. An extremely powerful sound wave was released from the mouth of the Netherworld Night Devil King. Even though Li Zongjiu was prepared, he was still sent flying by the impact of the sound wave. He was almost blasted out of the cave. Break for me! With a slash of his sword, the scorching sword chi engulfed the Netherworld Night Devil King. The scorching sword chi forced the Netherworld Night Devil King to retreat. The Netherworld Night Devil King also retreated abruptly. With a slash of his sword, the Netherworld Night Devils circling outside heard the call of their king. Immediately, they rushed back to their cave. However, when these Netherworld Night Devils rushed into the cave, their bodies seemed to have stopped moving. They were unwilling to move and were trapped in Li Zongjiu's array. Looking back at the Netherworld Night Devils who were as still as statues, Li Zongjiu heaved a sigh of relief. If these things rushed in, it would be really troublesome. However, the array in front of him could only last for 3 minutes at most. For him, time was also very limited. Dragon Soul. Crush it. The blood dragon soul burst out from Li Zongjiu's body. At the same time, Li Zongjiu used the black dragon hammer in his hand and smashed it fiercely at the claws of the Netherworld Night Devil King. Boom! The two moves were used at the same time, but the Netherworld Night Devil King was not afraid at all. It stared directly at the thunderous power of the black dragon hammer and tangled with the blood dragon soul. In the next moment, the golden dragon soul also appeared and directly stepped on the head of the Netherworld Night Devil King. It coiled around the Netherworld Night Devil King's body and even burst out with a loud noise when it exerted its strength. Boom! A series of tremors and explosions were everywhere. However, at this moment, Li Zongjiu had already flashed and arrived in front of the Underworld Enlightenment Leaf in an instant. He carefully plucked the Underworld Enlightenment Leaf. 17, 18, no, it's at least 200,000 years old. Li Zongjiu judged the aura of the Underworld Enlightenment Leaf and was pleasantly surprised. The older it was, the better the effect of the herbs. At this moment, the herbs of this age fell into Li Zongjiu's hands. For Li Zongjiu, it was really like adding wings to a tiger. Done, retreat. However, just as Li Zongjiu turned around, he saw that the Blood Dragon Soul and the Golden Dragon Soul's original spirit powers were directly stepped on by the other party. The Netherworld Night Devil King seemed to have sensed that the Underworld Enlightenment Leaf had been taken away. This was a treasure that had accompanied him for many years. Now, it was taken away by Li Zongjiu so easily. For the Netherworld Night Devil King, this was an act of provocation. At the same time, it also directly angered the latter. Suddenly, the whole cave shook violently. Then, the Netherworld Night Devil King's body directly rose into the air and directly crashed into the ceiling. Boom! The ceiling of the cave was broken through. Countless Netherworld Night Devils were smashing the cave and walls from all directions and rushing in. They all rushed towards Li Zongjiu. This is troublesome. Li Zongjiu used the unparalleled sword to open up a path, bringing his figure and quickly escaping into the distance. After flying out of the cave, at least tens of thousands of Nether Night Devils chased after him, and the number was still increasing. In desperation, Li Zongjiu could only take out an elixir that he had prepared in advance and threw it behind him. Boom! The elixir in his hand suddenly exploded, and a powder covered the Netherworld Night Devils. Immediately, the netherworld night devils that were stained with the powder of the elixir suddenly stood up and directly tore at their companions. This disregard elixir is quite effective. Li Zhongjiu took the time to look back. The situation behind him had become extremely chaotic. The elixir that he had just thrown out was actually not created by Li Zhongjiu. It was developed by Wang Jing. In his previous life, Li Zhongjiu naturally disdained this kind of crooked practice. It was not crooked at all, but super useless. However, he did not expect it to have such a powerful effect. It directly dealt with the netherworld night devils in front of him. Immediately, Li Zhongjiu's body flashed and moved out of the netherworld canyon. Chapter 1265. He didn't expect that this time, he would make a great contribution by relying on Wang Jing's research of the disregard pill. However, the effect could only last for half a minute. For a top expert, half a minute was enough to fly hundreds of thousands of miles away. After leaving the netherworld canyon, Li Zhongjiu was safe. He followed the original path back to the Mountain Sea Pavilion. Back in the Mountain Sea Pavilion, Qin Yu had successfully sent Gu Wei back to the desert city. When she saw that Li Zhongjiu had directly placed the soul-burning array at the entrance of the Mountain Sea Pavilion, she was a little worried. "Senior brother, are you guarding this meta-beast?" When Qin Yu saw Jin Tian meditating in front of the array, she didn't expect that this chief disciple, who usually liked to slack off, would actually step forward at this critical moment and set an example by personally guarding this meta-beast. He was indeed worthy of being the chief disciple. Ahem, of course. Who else but me can do such an important thing? When Jin Tian saw that Qin Yu seemed to be looking at him with admiration, he couldn't help but feel a little excited. Although his cultivation was a little higher than Qin Yu's, Qin Yu had always looked down on him in the past. Moreover, he had always felt that he didn't see eye to eye with her. However, today, he was actually able to look at her with such a gaze, which even made him feel a little impulsive. As expected of senior brother Jin Tian. Then, senior brother Jin Tian should be more careful. More careful? Why would he need to be more careful? Although this guy looked mysterious and fierce, he was now trapped in the array after all. How could he still need to be more careful? This thing, does it have a great origin? Jin Tian asked tentatively. He really didn't know what this thing was, but Qin Yu had originally gone with the sect master, so she should know the origin of this thing. Don't you know? This is a 9th grade sovereign meta-beast. Qin Yu looked at the confused Jin Tian. If it wasn't for the fact that this meta-beast was so powerful, why would someone be guarding this place? Why would a first disciple like you personally take charge of this place? Even Jin Tian didn't know the origin of this guy. What? This is a 9th grade supreme martial artist. Jin Tian repeatedly confirmed that he didn't hear it wrong. The thing that was trapped in the formation was actually a 9th grade sovereign level origin beast. How could this be possible? It was a 9th grade sovereign. Jin Tian seemed to feel that his brain wasn't enough to process the situation. His mind was spinning back and forth, and he couldn't figure out what was going on in front of him. By the way, senior brother, do you know where Senior Evil Lord is? Blue Moon asked. Evil Lord, it's this Evil Lord again. No wonder the sovereign was so strict with him previously. This Evil Lord was actually a terrifying existence that could trap a 9th grade sovereign level soul beast. Back then, he still wanted to provoke such a person and even wanted to compete with this Evil Lord. He was simply overestimating himself. Now, Jin Tian deeply knew that he was wrong. He never thought that this matter would turn out to be so serious. He almost offended a very powerful expert. Boom! Li Zhongjiu's figure landed on the ground. His body was stained with some filth and blood. Li Zhongjiu purposely let the blood stain his body. Otherwise, he might have to kill several origin beasts along the way. Senior Evil Lord, you're back. When Jin Tian saw the return of the Evil Lord, he directly saluted Li Zongjiu. His attitude was completely different from before. Even his waist was completely bent down. He showed his great sincerity. Yes. Li Zongjiu only responded faintly. Then, he looked at the dark mysterious eagle in the formation. Has this guy opened his mouth? Initially, Jin Tian didn't know that there was actually a 9th-grade sovereign-level soul beast imprisoned here. He only felt that this thing was extremely strange and didn't dare to get close to it. Now that he knew about it, he was extremely curious. Hearing Li Zongjiu's question, Jin Tian shook his head. No, this guy has always been in this state. He hasn't shown or said anything. Jin Tian replied respectfully. Then, let him continue to enjoy himself in this formation. Senior Evil Lord, Miss Gu Wei has been successfully sent back to Desert City. Qin Yu stepped forward and said. Originally, she wanted to report to Li Zongjiu, but now that she saw Li Zongjiu, she didn't have to make a special trip. Alright, thank you for your trouble. Li Zongjiu also cupped his hands towards Qin Yu. This little girl was quite loyal and her temper was quite to Li Zongjiu's liking. Therefore, he also liked her. He observed Qin Yu's state for a while. He had already decided what kind of elixir to refine for Qin Yu. For Li Zongjiu, refining an elixir was a very simple matter. However, for these cultivators, obtaining an elixir suitable for their physique was as difficult as ascending to heaven. It wasn't so easy to obtain. Blue Moon's impression of Li Zongjiu also increased by several folds. Li Zongjiu was strong and had quite a personality. Most importantly, he was very polite to her and didn't have the arrogant heart of an expert. Naturally, Jin Tian was watching this young man and woman flirting with each other. He didn't know what they were doing, but the feeling of being lovey-dovey was quite disgusting. Bah, shameless, seducing a female disciple as soon as he arrived at the sect. Of course, Jin Tian only dared to think this in his heart. If he really said it out loud, Jin Tian reckoned that he wouldn't be able to keep his life. Given Li Zongjiu's level, if he wanted to destroy him, it would probably be a matter of flicking his finger. Senior Evil Lord, where did you go? How did you end up like this? Oh, I just went to the Netherworld Canyon and picked up some things. Li Zongjiu spoke casually, but Qin Yu's eyes were filled with shock. What kind of place was the Netherworld Canyon? How could one go there just because they wanted to? For Li Zongjiu, it seemed like this was indeed the case. The two of them walked away while talking. Jin Tian listened to the conversation between the two of them and felt rather indignant. Netherworld Canyon? Bullshit, I don't believe it. I won't believe it even if you beat me to death. Boy, how do you feel when you see your woman being seduced by someone else? Jin Tian's heart was filled with resentment and anger. But, he had nowhere to vent his anger. Suddenly, a voice came and entered his heart. It seemed as if it was trying to steal his soul. Moreover, this sentence directly pierced his heart. Chapter 1266. Although Jin Tian was on guard, the other party's strength was too strong. Even though they were separated by the soul-burning formation, the other party could still see through Jin Tian's thoughts. You mean, you can make me the master of the sect? You can even trample that damned evil lord under your feet? Jin Tian's heart was somewhat moved, but he didn't dare to say it out loud. He looked around vigilantly, hoping that there was no one around who could give him the information. Of course, I just fell into this kid's trap. Otherwise, even if there were 10 of him, he wouldn't be my opponent. With my cultivation, don't tell me that you won't be able to move unhindered in the wilderness. I don't dare to say anything else, but among the 10 forbidden areas of the human race, there are 5 lords of forbidden areas, and they are all my brothers. This Netherworld Canyon is nothing. If you help me today, I will take you to this Netherworld Canyon. You can go back and forth for hundreds of rounds. The dark black eagle solemnly vowed. But in fact, if the dark black eagle encountered this netherworld canyon, it would have to take a detour. Those terrifying creatures didn't like to listen to others' words. It was as if they were cursed. As long as there was a slight movement, these creatures would pounce on them. Even the dark Xian eagle would have to temporarily avoid him. However, the dark Xian eagle didn't mind at all. After all, the dark Xian eagle wouldn't know whether he was telling the truth or not. In that case, the dark Xian eagle could just say whatever he wanted. Besides, this human kid seemed to be quite greedy. Just a moment ago, he said that he wanted to be the master of the Mountain Sea Pavilion. Now, in the blink of an eye, he wanted to be the real master of the wilderness. What else could the dark mysterious eagle do? Of course, it agreed without hesitation. It had even started to share the wilderness with Jin Tian. This guy was really insatiably greedy. He was even a little stupid. This made the dark black eagle seriously consider whether to give up or not. It was better not to deceive this idiot. It would be better to find someone else who was smarter to help him. Tell me, how can I help you so that you can come out? Jin Tian couldn't wait any longer. He couldn't wait to release the dark Xian eagle. Then, the dark Xian eagle would help him to become the human king of the wilderness. The dark Xian eagle couldn't help but think that if he used this method to deceive a retard, it shouldn't be impossible. It's easy if you want to help me. I have a feather here. You just have to help me bury it at the highest point of your mountain. You don't have to worry about anything else. The dark Xian eagle said. At the same time, it tore a hole in the soul-burning array, and sent out a black feather. The feather fell on the ground, but it was as heavy as a metal piece that weighed dozens of kilograms. When Jin Tian saw the feather, he hastily put it away. He was afraid that other people would see it. If other people knew that he was doing this kind of transaction here, he might be beaten to death and expelled from the sect. However, Jin Tian didn't know whether he should take this step or not. Although the conversation just now was not bad, but if he thought about it carefully, things didn't seem to be so simple. He always felt that this guy was thinking of ways to deceive him. But this kind of opportunity to do something big was fleeting. It was rare for such a good opportunity to be placed in front of him. How could he let this opportunity slip away from him? This made Jin Tian's heart feel uneasy and incomparably tangled. However, the dark Xian eagle didn't say anything. It didn't even urge Jin Tian to complete this matter. In fact, the dark Xian eagle had already seen through the thoughts of a small person like Jin Tian. In the end, he would definitely do this. The dark profound eagle had also left a message on the feather. Once his brothers received this message, they would definitely rush over in a frenzy. At that time, everyone in the Mountain Sea Pavilion would die. For the dark Xian eagle, being trapped in such a formation was simply a great humiliation. After he got out, he would definitely make Li Zongjiu suffer double, triple, or even tenfold. In short, he couldn't let Li Zongjiu die so easily. 5 days at most. Then, all of you can just wait to die. He Xian thought in his heart. His figure once again entered the thick black fog and didn't show up. At this moment, he was enduring the pain of refining at every moment. At the same time, the demon-suppressing ruler above his head would release some power from time to time. It made He Xian feel like he was about to be burned to death. However, due to his hatred for Li Zongjiu, He Xian also turned this painful feeling into the power of revenge. He must directly kill Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu didn't know what He Xian was doing. He also didn't know that Jin Tian would be bewitched by He Xian and leak information. The main thing was that he didn't care. Li Zongjiu didn't care whether you were doing these things or not. If you have the ability, just come at me. Even if you are released from this soul-burning array now, I still have the ability to trap you again. At this moment, Li Zongjiu was concentrating on refining the 9 nether pill in his hand. Finally obtaining this 200,000-year-old myriad nether transcendence leaf with great difficulty, Li Zhongjiu naturally had to grasp this opportunity well. With his current strength, refining a grade 9 medicinal pill was already a piece of cake. But this time, Li Zhongjiu wanted to refine the effect of this pill to the extreme. 3 whole days passed. Li Zhongjiu was immersed in this alchemy room and successfully refined the 9 nether pill in his hand. The specific refining process didn't need to be repeated. The refining method of a 9th grade pill was almost the same as that of an ordinary pill. It was enough to grasp the strength and the temperature. 3 days later. Above the mountain peak of the mountain sea pavilion, wind and thunder were hanging high. It seemed that tens of thousands of miles of thunder were rushing over, and the lightning was enough to spread for thousands of miles. The roaring sound of thunder was like tens of millions of elephants stamping their feet. It shook the soul. Those with a slightly weaker cultivation also felt that their bodies seemed to be unable to withstand such a strong and shocking force. Su Wangshan was gathering the sect elders to study and develop the effect of the sky-penetrating mirror. Suddenly, he saw the wind and thunder outside the sect. Could it be that this evil lord has done something that is punished by the heavens? Why is there such a terrible wind and thunder brewing? Su Wangshan couldn't help but ask. Although he was also a supreme being expert, he couldn't help but tremble under such a thunderous force. He didn't dare to stay in such a place for a while. If there was really a thunderbolt striking down, he couldn't guarantee that he wouldn't be able to withstand it. This seems to be pill lightning. An elder who was good at alchemy looked extremely dignified when he saw the emergence of the pill lightning. To be able to summon such a terrifying pill lightning, one could see how terrifying the pill refined by this evil lord was. Boom! Before the crowd had time to continue their discussion, the thunderbolt in the sky directly struck down. The entire mountain sea pavilion was illuminated by this lightning, and this ball of light caused the disciples of the mountain sea pavilion to tremble in fear. However, the thunderbolt didn't damage the mountain sea pavilion at all. With his own strength, Li Zhongjiu directly received the power of the thunderbolt in front of him and used the power of the thunderbolt to temper his body. For Li Zhongjiu, it was a good cultivation method. After all, such a terrifying force wasn't so easy to find in other places. Awesome! Li Zhongjiu's body flickered with lightning. A total of 12 thunderbolts struck down from the sky, and they were all absorbed by Li Zhongjiu and refined easily. After the thunderbolt, Li Zhongjiu didn't appear. Instead, he took the newly refined 9th grade high-rank pill without stopping. 9 nether pill. However, when Li Zhongjiu swallowed this pill, he didn't choose to take it on the mountain peak where the mountain sea pavilion was located. Otherwise, the aura alone would be enough to destroy the entire mountain peak. If he cultivated in front of someone's door and destroyed their sect, it would seem a little immoral. He still had to pay attention to this point. Chapter 1267. However, Li Zhongjiu didn't go very far. He was just opposite the mountain sea pavilion. Then, he began to adjust his breathing. He waited until he had adjusted his condition to a certain extent. Li Zhongjiu raised his head and looked at the sky in the wilderness. Nice weather, it's time. When Li Zhongjiu took out the 9 nether pill again, there seemed to be a fierce wind blowing between the heavens and the earth. The surrounding space seemed to be constantly gathering extremely terrifying energy. It was constantly brewing. It was waiting for Li Zhongjiu's call. Gulp. He raised his head and swallowed the 9 nether pill. Immediately, Li Zhongjiu's body seemed to be burning continuously, igniting the internal organs in Li Zhongjiu's body. Boom! The aura around Li Zhongjiu's body was rolling, like a turbulent wave, instantly spreading to the surroundings. The 9 nether pill was very direct. When this pill was swallowed into the stomach, it had already activated the first layer of energy impact. Boom! Boom! The thunder clouds in the sky rolled, directly striking towards Li Zongjiu's direction. Everyone in the Mountain Sea Pavilion was originally concentrating on studying the sky-penetrating mirror in their hands, but they were directly awakened by the thunder. Everyone raised their heads and looked at the opposite mountain peak. This evil lord, what is he up to again? Creating such a huge commotion in the untainted land every few days. Even though the untainted land could be said to be vast and boundless, it was impossible to meet a single person even if one were to travel for tens of thousands of miles. However, if one were to create such an exaggerated commotion, one would definitely attract the attention of some meta beasts. Over the past 2 days, there had been quite a number of meta beasts visiting the Mountain Sea Pavilion, causing the guarding disciples to feel a little strained. In the face of such a situation, there was nothing they could do. Fortunately, these meta beasts did not have the intention to attack the mountain gate. Otherwise, the mountain gate might have been destroyed. In short, in the untainted land, he tried his best to make as little noise as possible. Otherwise, who knew how many monsters would appear from all directions? From the looks of it, it seems like he's refining the pill to achieve a breakthrough. What kind of medicinal pill can be so fierce? I can't say for sure, but when I was refining the elixir, a total of 12 layers of pill lightning fell. This elixir is at least at the 9th grade. Oh, this evil lord is actually a level 9 alchemist. He's so young. How did he do it? He's too fierce. Most of the people present were shocked as well. At the same time, he looked at his sect master with admiration. He had casually brought back a person from the outside world, and he actually had such heaven-defying abilities. It was simply too terrifying. His sect master was still the one with the wisdom and the strength he possessed. We have to be careful. Don't let the fluctuations of this evil lord's breakthrough shatter our mountain gate. This mountain can't withstand the torment. I feel that the primordial stone mine at the foot of the mountain is about to be sucked dry by the formation. When Su Wangshan said this, he was also quite distressed. He had never thought that such a thing would happen. That damn guy, if he had revealed the person behind this earlier, everything would have been fine. Why did he have to hold it in here and do such a thing that was bad for everyone? This made Su Wangshan feel quite displeased. If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't defeat He Xian, he would definitely go up personally and beat He Xian up. Because Li Zongjiu's cultivation caused too much noise, Su Wangshan and the others had no way to carefully study the heavenly mirror. They immediately stopped what they were doing and went to the top of the mountain to observe the situation of Evil Lord's breakthrough. At the same time, they also helped to watch over their own mountain. They didn't want it to be directly shattered by the aura released by the Evil Lord. It was inconvenient to be too strong, so they had to be careful with everything. The first energy impact lasted for about half an hour. With the help of this energy, Li Zongjiu stabilized his realm and adjusted his aura directly to the peak state. After that, the second energy impact came again. It lasted for about half an hour. Then, the third, fourth, and fifth. One after another, it was as if he was singing a big play. Scene after scene, the audience was watching directly from the opposite side. This was a little too exaggerated. What kind of pill did this evil lord refine? How can it be so fierce? Su Chongshan couldn't help but ask. This was also the alchemy elder with the highest cultivation in the entire Mountain Sea Pavilion. However, this alchemy elder himself was also in a state of confusion. If he knew the pill formula of such an awesome pill, he would have refined it long ago. How would I know? The pills I know are all found in the ancient books of the sect. This alchemy elder also had a stomach full of grievances. He never thought that this matter would fall on his head. At the same time, he was also very curious about the pill in Li Zongjiu's hands. He was very coveted, and even the others were quite envious. The light in his eyes could almost reach 10,000 feet. If he could take such a pill, he couldn't break through any realm. Here it comes again, here it comes again, here it comes again. Li Zhongzhou's pill made these people extremely shocked. They couldn't believe their eyes at all. No one would believe what they saw today. A single pill could actually launch a total of 9 attacks on one's realm. This kind of attack was really too overbearing, and each attack was stronger than the previous one. The time was also extremely short. One wave after another. If one's strength was not enough, one's whole body would probably explode. However, during the whole process of the breakthrough, Li Zhongzhou was able to control the sudden surge of power in his hands easily. No matter if it was strong or weak, he could handle it with ease. This kind of strength was worthy of these people of the Mountain Sea Pavilion. Not anxious, not impatient, as stable as Mount Tai. This realm is really high. Senior Evil Lord's control of power has already reached the realm of perfection. He's too strong to be able to control the surging power so well. Senior Evil Lord's realm is unfathomable. Many disciples of the Mountain Sea Pavilion were also watching this breakthrough. However, there was a pair of eyes that were quite angry, quite unhappy, and even quite jealous. He should have been the hope of this sect, the person who was praised by everyone. But now, it was all taken by another person. Jealousy was the devil. I'd like to see how long you can be awe-inspiring. A cold light flashed in Jin Tian's eyes, and at the same time, he glanced at Li Zhongzhou's position. Previously, Jin Tian had directly buried He Xian's feather on the opposite mountain for the sake of insurance. In this way, if He Xian's companions arrived, they would go to the opposite mountain first. It just so happened that Li Zhongzhou was cultivating in that spot. He directly released the fluctuation so that the others could clearly feel what was going on in that spot. You should die early and be reincarnated early. Jin Tian thought so in his heart. However, He Xian, who was trapped in the soul-burning formation, was hiding in the black fog. At the same time, he also looked at Li Zhongzhou, who was breaking through in front of him. Go ahead and create as much of a commotion as you can. That way, you'll die faster. He Xian couldn't help but laugh out loud in his heart. His feather was enough to release the aura. In addition, Li Zhongzhou's movement, whether or not they noticed it, they would soon be attracted. He didn't even need to spend too much effort. In the following days, he just needed to wait here quietly for his companions to come. After the yuan energy in Li Zhongzhou's body ran a circulatory cycle, he slowly sank into his dantian and exhaled a mouthful of turbid air toward the sky. Finally, I have recovered half of my strength. 5th grade Sovereign Yuan Energy. 5th grade Sovereign Mental Strength. The physical body of a 3rd grade Sovereign. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.